sad night. I can't let you go. 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 It's a sad night. I can't let you go. 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 Time goes on, and dreams they wash away.
What does God look like? What do you see?
We're solar-powered biological AI.
Wait, what?
These ancient adversarial entities, I think it's the very same ones that rebelled against God and were cast out.
They were sent here to guide us in antiquity, and they took advantage of that and just masqueraded as gods. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gray Pilled Podcast. I'm pretty sure I just MK Ultra'd everybody with that intro song. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. It's Friday. Hope everyone had a good week. I'm here with Austin Picard, everybody, from the Underclass Podcast. He's the homie. We do Already Dead. I'm sure y'all know that if you've been watching this show. We do that every Tuesday at I can't remember the time.
9:30 Eastern time.
9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. There you go. Can't even remember the time of my own show. Yeah, Austin, what's up,
brother? Man,
happy to be here.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me on again, obviously, but we have I mean, we've been meaning to do this for quite some time at this point, right?
We
You
have.
know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know if that's bad on my end
Dude,
or not.
you're
You
good.
know,
Don't worry about it, man.
you've
It's
been
it's
telling
me
me to
as
text
well.
you,
Uh,
and I
we've been
don't.
so busy,
And
bro.
I'll hit
Honestly,
you up the morning of, and I'm like, hey, you want to go? You want to go live tonight? And you're like, oh, like you have your whole night planned. I'm sure. I should be letting you know
occasionally,
earlier or something.
occasionally, but it's mainly just like I only have certain days. Like it's basically one day for the most part where I can like, but certain times too where actually get to spend a little bit of time with the wife. You know what I mean? But so
Absolutely.
occasionally, you know what that might be the case, but hey, dude, it's been chaotic as hell in the past few weeks, honestly, as far as just like doing a lot of different content and just having a lot on the schedule. You know what I mean? So that alone, obviously, I'm behind on my own personal, my own personal solo projects. So it's like I'm clearly trying to balance a little bit too much. But we kind of had that conversation a bit on Already Dead, honestly, this Tuesday. But you know, it is the way of the world. I just at a certain point, I gotta prioritize like the homies and what's necessary, and then obviously like push things out a little bit further. I think that's my issue too. So, but hey, man, I'm learning. This is the way it goes, right, in this
Yeah.
business. But dude, first of all, I had an opportunity. Obviously, I had told you, I had the opportunity to go on with Monica today, right? At like
JC
11 my
saying,
time.
you did great on Monica's show.
Oh hell yeah. I'm glad you feel that way, brother, because I feel like I went a little bit schizo, but I honestly I had the most fun ever. And the dynamic between her and I just feels fucking perfect, honestly. Like it's just fun. You know what I mean? And
Well, yeah. When she came on Already Dead, dude, I mean, I was still, I think just a couple months into producing, right?
mhm,
I try my best to produce. I'm very grateful that y'all now bring me
the
on
best
camera
producer
for
of all time,
show again.
Jules.
Austin.
Jules of Grey Pill.
But yeah, dude, you're a busy guy. Like you're genuinely busy, aren't you? About to you and Jose are about to go on Jake Shields, right?
Hey man, I'm finally about to have a slumber party with the homie. I'm super excited, honestly. I'm so pumped to meet Jose like in person because we've never actually gotten to meet yet. So
Oh, dude. Oh, y'all gonna have fun. Fuck.
I know, man.
I'll come to the
And
next one. I'll come
plus,
to
we're making the trip, right? We're making that Fear and Loathing trip, brother. It's the drive that they made in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So for me personally,
I brought that up because we're going to be talking about stuff having to do with certain people. Anyway, it's fucking wild. Anyway, but yeah, no,
100%,
I'm stoked for y'all to go on there, man.
brother. Just I don't know. I'm telling you, there's something about you obviously have to put in the work, but like I mentioned it this morning. I've been mentioning it a lot lately, but it's truly what I believe. Like you objectively pursue the truth. You're open-minded enough to like change your perspective on things and be receptive to new ideas.
Always.
There's such an appetite for that at this moment, right? Everyone fleeing the last gasp of the mainstream media, desperately fleeing into the alternative landscape where they're kind of, like under this naive, vulnerable kind of they're running this risk, right? Where they have at least I'm not speaking of this audience or anything. I'm obviously talking about the average individual who's like attempting to kind of wade through the misinformation and the smoke and mirrors and the deception that's deliberately, you know, clearly deployed to just manipulate obviously our ability to interpret the media cycle in many ways. So much social engineering and mind control playing out on the world stage. Like this is really like a global mechanism of psychological control, and they've sophisticated this over time to such a degree that we're worshiping our ultimately what should be really the face of evil. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
many ways, whether I don't care where you fall on the political spectrum, if you're like buying into this structure, and you're falling into this trap of idolizing these false prophets. That in general, you're running a risk and psychologically vulnerable to a lot of these deceptive tactics. So I don't know, man. Like, it's interesting. What the fuck was I talking about? Why would
You're on my show, bro. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, dude, and people do it to themselves unknowingly, putting so much faith in these people, these psychopaths that have control of where we live.
Yep, absolutely, man.
It's very unfortunate, but
100%.
no, we're just we're just ranting, bro.
I didn't even see the chat. I'm over here in the private chat like a dipshit.
It's almost 10 o'clock here on a Friday night. We're hanging out. Friday night gray pills are back, everybody.
Hell
also, bringing up Already Dead, I wanted to go ahead and shill toplobster.com. Guys, we have merch.
I gotta
Already
get
Dead
some
merch. Yeah,
I told Jose to bring it to me when he came, so hopefully that's gonna actually happen.
Yeah, Top has shipped it. Operation Gladio hats and hoods. I completely forgot about the hat. Already Dead, dude. I got both of these shirts right here. Jose has his stuff back up on here, guys. The No Way Jose logo, Taranjiki, Kenneth Trinidad didn't kill themselves. Help spread the truth and support the homies. So yeah, I don't know if we have a promo code yet, but maybe we'll get there. That's a sick logo, bro. Who the fuck made that?
Love it. I think Top did. Yeah. Pretty sure that he created both logos that we had actually from the beginning. So
oh shit. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But man, I'm super excited. I think that the fact that we're getting the opportunity to kind of have a conversation of not only, well, first of all, it will be kind of perfect to introduce like this more lightheaded concept for OKC, and then that kind of like be the introductory concept into domestic Gladio in many ways, which will tie into the secondary interview opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to say you're doing 2 episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
dude,
so
I'm fucking stoked, man.
Dude, 100%. Because the original thought was, remember Jake had tweeted about you know what? I swear to God, it has something to do with Sam had just gone on Jake's show, and so I feel like he had to have said something. Because he all of a sudden
Sam go on.
He went on like right before you know what happened? I did whatever this is with Sam, which by the way, shameless plug. Support the Patreon, patreon.com/the Underclass Podcast, and we
definitely. And I was gonna say, before I derail you again, I was gonna bring this up, guys. If you're on Rumble, go follow Austin. He finally made a Rumble. After months of us trying to get him to make it.
Dude, years I had the podcast.
God, man, I forgot you do morning dump now, dude. Y'all are fucking working, brother. I'm telling you, you guys in Nephilim Dev Squad, y'all always, whenever I look up, when I'm working, I'll look on fucking Twitter and you guys are streaming. It's awesome.
Man, I do think there is something to at a certain point when, like, I don't know, have you because I'm still like I'm the retard who's like following behind, who's trying to figure out things and like have yet to monetize for certain reasons on Spreaker, basically because I hate ads personally.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing, and I don't want to ruin my personal solo content, because so much of it, I feel like it would have to like, you would have to strategically put it at the end or the beginning so it doesn't disrupt the flow, and I feel like the beginning is too jarring, so it's like and even then I don't know if that's necessarily I'm going to have to figure it out. I don't mean to talk all this inside bullshit, but it's just I'm trying to make sure that because I want to just like, I know that I'm leaving just as far as like personally, I'm attempting to try and like financially like support myself and obviously and my wife like through this process. And so I'm only attempting to kind of do the most, just it's obviously it seems like unfortunately the way of the world at this point. If you want to make any sort of financial just kind of reach the next level financially in this game, you kind of have to almost run ads to a certain extent, or you just have to have enough of an audience to where you can solely rely on. But even then,
I was going to say, I think on Spotify you have to have a certain amount of plays, right, or a certain amount of followers,
something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I created 2 Spreakers like y'all told me to. You and Jose kept telling me to get on Spreaker. And I'd go back in like later that day or the next day, and it'd be gone.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck happened. I mean, I confirmed it with my email and everything. I don't know what's happening with it.
That's
I don't know if like they uploaded my content and they were like, well, there's a lot of shit we can't put on it. I don't know.
That's so funny.
I was going to mention that to y'all, but fucking sucks.
Yeah, for real.
Someone just told me on X that he tried to click on Rumble to the option to notify him whenever I choose to go live, and it wouldn't let him.
Interesting.
He's not the first person to tell me that. Who was that told me?
I'm telling you right now.
Shout out, Jonathan.
There's definitely a level of like. We'll actually get into content here in a second. I'm sorry.
No,
what,
they know what's right. Up. We got a banger for you tonight, guys. We're just shooting the shit for a minute. Mad Milker, what's up, motherfucker? Good to see you, dude.
Damn. Yeah, it was so nice to actually see. Like, apparently, we have a lot of mutuals between the two of us, and Monica, like, was telling me how people were. Basically telling her that she needed to have me on, and we had to have a conversation for quite some time. So that was again such a good time. But I was attempting to kind of lay out the bare bones of like the process, but instead I went entirely schizo, and I was like, "Hey, this connects to the process. This connects to the process. That connects to the process.
Everything connects to the process."
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I just like discovered this insane thread. That was, I think it was a Cav Dev thread that I brought up. At least I had 2 brought up on Already Dead the other day, but I only mentioned one of them. And it was mainly because, well, I honestly can't recall which one it was, but either way, both of them are extraordinary because they essentially both tend to tie in directly the process, obviously. But I didn't understand. Oh, I remember now. I brought up the victim information from the Son of Sam killings that tied in this Donna Loria and Jody Valenti, who apparently were victims in the Bronx, right, in '76, and a possible motive being so as far as for their targeting. Fuck content we yap here. Hell yeah, Xerox. That's great. What else you want to know? That means absolutely nothing to the grand scheme of things. But so this note is so crazy because this Donna Loria, she was apparently an ambulance technician who might have become aware of a drug ring involving the Nugan Bank. Okay, the Nugan Bank, brother. All right. This is so crazy because not only is it sup niggers. That's so great. Dude, I love your people, man. That's
Q. What's up, Q?
Hold on, let me pull this up because this is so nuts, man. But it essentially it's directly tied into Iran Contra. I think there's I have a resource that's here it is.
I was gonna say if you have anything you want to pull up while we're talking, guys, we're gonna get into a lot of shit tonight. A lot of shit.
There's so much.
Well, like, I brought up a few things to you, right? And I was like, hey, I want to talk about this, and this, but like I don't know how. And you were like, well, good thing it's all connected. And I'm just like, fuck me sideways, you know? Of course it is.
'Tis the nature of what we do at this point, my friend.
Absolutely.
And at this point, like I'm so excited for the moment that we actually have Dana on, Rotting Jewels and Dana Duda for the process as far as on Already Dead. Like, I am so excited just to
Tuesday?
try and remember Dana, right? Dana Duda.
Yeah,
She's
she's coming on
supposed to
next
come.
Tuesday.
I don't know when, because of course, like, she's still dealing with that
Yeah, the
family
death
loss.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
We're sorry about that, Dana.
right. But as soon as she's ready, I'm so excited to have a conversation with her. I almost she had responded to my tweet today, and I almost just followed up by telling her, when are you ready to come on Already Dead? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but it's mainly because I have so many questions. I'm trying to kind of like orchestrate this conceptual outline for myself in so many ways with the process. And her specifically is, she's just like, she is the resource that I find most valuable. At least I honestly, personally, I've kept her at a distance for as far as her content, only because one day I will take the plunge. But for the most part, I came across the process on my own, and I didn't want to like dive deep into her content and have it like affect my my approach in
I
a
know
way, even though I
exactly
didn't
what
want,
you're talking
not
about.
saying that I don't I know that she's an insanely valuable resource, probably the key valuable resource with the process at this moment in our alternative media landscape, but still, so I have nothing but respect for her. But I honestly, it's just, of course, like, I don't want to have any preconceived ideas sort of going in, and so that was kind of my approach. But that's just like my personal way of, like, if I'm going to cover something, I don't want to have something, and it's not clouding my judgment, but it's almost influencing the direction I
It
may
is.
take.
It's
Yeah,
affecting it. Yeah.
exactly. And I don't want to necessarily, do something that would, in a way, parrot her research and,
Yeah.
too much, right?
Yeah. Well, you wanna
But
leave it up to your own, like, interpretation. You know what I mean? I
100%,
think each person who does their podcast needs that, and
absolutely,
I
dude.
completely feel where you're coming from.
Yeah. And so the Nugan Bank that I just mentioned, right, that's directly tied into Son of Sam and this process, this victim of what I believe to be, some sort of local offshoot chapter of the process, which are directly, influenced by their doctrine, which were
Mhm.
the 22 disciples from hell or something, which David Berkowitz was a part of, which all were hanging out at this magical child bookstore or something in upstate New York, which was, entirely like affiliated with the process, founded by the process members. It was all occult in nature and as well. So it seemed to be like some sort of recruitment, uh, you know, some sort of like local recruitment arm of the chapter that was in activity at the time. So it's very strange. I'm not sure. I just know that John Markham specifically, who was an attorney, he was involved with this bookstore, who then also was a member of the process, full-fledged, in Boston, Massachusetts, who happened to be a an attorney a defense attorney who infiltrated the defense team of Jeffrey McDonald in the Fort Bragg murders. Right?
Shit, dude.
Dude, it's totally nuts, man. But anyway, before I get too crazy, this Nugan Bank in 73, there's this Australian lawyer who named Michael Hand. And this specifically, this resource is on Spartacus Educational. And it's amazing. And that's one of a few, very valuable resources that I utilize on a frequent basis. I honestly, that was one of the first places I discovered Carrie Thornley, who I had tweeted about earlier because I had brought up this weird connection on whatever this is with Sam and Brad Binkley, where we were discussing the JFK files, right? And essentially, we brought up, or I had it triggered that just as far as the memory recall of this strange, like, stranger than fiction scenario of Carrie Thornley, who knew Lee Harvey Oswald personally,
Yeah.
wrote that strange fictional novel in 62 right before JFK is assassinated, which directly seems to run parallel with the actual framework of Oswald's life, right, the direction that he took as far as like the fake defector program to the
No
Soviet
shit. What's
Union.
the book called?
Okay, dude, check this out. I'll actually explain it here briefly. So Carrie Wendell Thornley, he meets hell yeah. He meets Lee Harvey Oswald while in the US Marines in 59. Dude, look at this real quick. I'll pull it up. Can I share, or do you want me to just send it to you, bro?
No, dude, you can pull it up. Pull it up. Pull
What
whatever
I'm
you want.
doing over here. Honestly, I don't know if I can. I can't see my actual share button. So
Joe, it's down on your window. It's present.
oh shit, you're totally right. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely retarded. Dude, thank you.
No.
What is wrong with
God,
me?
dude, fucking StreamYard is so hard to use, even if you know how to use it.
Right.
It's just like it never
I think it
never
looks
works out
different.
100%.
It looks different as a
Yeah.
guest, I think, than it does when you're actually like, it's technically when I'm running the StreamYard, it looks different a little bit, but whatever. I'm just being retarded. All right, so this dude, and by the way, look up there's alternative pictures because he founded a religion called Discordianism.
Okay,
all right.
I'll look it up.
One of the craziest things ever. And just look this dude up because instantly you'll see the pictures that should have been chosen as the actual picture for this moment instead of this weird ass like he just got out of jail or something. He's super excited. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely years later, and he's a far older than he was when he had known Lee Harvey Oswald personally. But founded that strange religion, which I found out Discordianism itself ended up inevitably becoming which by the way it began this way in infancy.
Holy
it was
shit. I see what you mean.
Right. We should pull that up in a second because
pull this up.
do it.
Motherfucker looks wild.
He totally does, man. And it's interesting because Discordianism, this organization specifically, it very much functions like a lot of these occult organizations or various occult ideologies where they are obviously cutouts, to run plausible deniability for intelligence operations domestically. But yeah, look at this guy.
You see the rose?
It's so everything they do is
symbolic to the Rosicrucians. Yeah, man. He may be a very a high level Mason.
And according to Jim Garrison, he was running covert operations together with Lee Harvey Oswald at the time as well.
Yeah,
so
here we go. Oswald.
Yep, 100%. And this guy, man, it's such a trip. He so this is where the lines blur between fact and fiction. You know what I mean? And you start to realize that all of a sudden there's this asymmetric warfare playing out at all times, and we're being seduced into these ideas and these preconceptual notions that are being kind of fueled by pop culture and various, influencing mechanisms that provide this social engineering influence. Like, again, this always reminds me of sort of the Mockingbird aspect of in 96, where they're like, oh shit, we need to rehab our image in the public perception. So we need to create a liaison office for Hollywood. And that's basically what they did. So they could employ script writers to different producers, different production companies in Hollywood as well. And they would all sort of influence the direction of these Hollywood films to, of course, perfectly represent the intelligence community and the CIA in general. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's important to understand, is that there's this like sophisticated manipulation that's playing out, at a level that's very hard to conceptualize for the average person. And this guy right here is the best example of that, because once again, you kind of have this, what is it? It's like a lot of these major events like 9/11, right, where you have these kind of predictive programming techniques that seem to have been employed with pop culture as well in many ways. And this,
Yeah, the
yeah, this
revelation of the method and all that stuff,
exactly.
man. Yeah, they use it all.
Yep, and that is exactly what this becomes and so basically he meets Oswald, as I said, and serves with him in the Marines in 59. And then later he goes to Atsugi Air Force Base in Japan, which he's that's another place where Oswald was stationed before he then enters the fake defector program and goes into the defects into the Soviet Union, where he follows this U-2 spy plane, the CIA ran U-2 spy plane, which was like state of the art at the time. And everywhere the spy plane goes, he follows essentially, which is very interesting. And they called it basically an intelligence dangle, because he would dangle this information, this intelligence to the opposition, right, in order to kind of gain credibility with them. But so in 62, this book, The Idle Warriors, is Sandra London, a Discordian goddess. Oh, wow. Dr. Corbo
What's
is
up, Dr.
legit.
Corbo? Good to see you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hilarious. Interesting. So this, Idle Warriors book, published a year before JFK is assassinated.
Mhm.
It happens to be about a disgruntled Marine who defects to the Soviet Union. The book, of course, is based on Thornley's knowledge of Oswald. And yeah, dude. In the following year, right, Thornley moves to New Orleans, where it was claimed he associated with Guy Bannister, David Ferry, and Clay Shaw, who all obviously directly were the handlers of Oswald. From day one, if you go into what David Ferry was up to, holy shit, brother. Like, I had no understanding of what was truly, being conducted. I knew that he was hypnotizing people, but I didn't understand that there was this connection to the fact that apparently David Ferry, and I did know this, that of course when he was found dead and obviously murdered,
Of course.
he had all these books on the occult and hypnotism, right? That were discovered, these mind control manuals, and I know Daniel Hopsicker's book, Burying the Boys, it specifically referenced this, right? Which I think is very important because, by the way, Burying the Boys, that's about Barry Seal and the old boys network that, obviously implicates Tosh Plumley and these various individuals who I believe were the getaway pilots in Dallas that day for the hit teams. There were multiple hit squads that were trained in triangulated fire and techniques, which were how they assassinated JFK in the first place, which is why you had that odd physical reaction to being struck by it's very interesting once you get into how exactly this was plotted and played out, because there were multiple hit teams stationed throughout Dallas that day. One was at the airport, and it was just, anyway.
I thought it was the driver, so
Yeah, I mean, that's also been
just
a theory, obviously,
throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Discordianism real fast.
dude, it's like accelerationism in a way. Honestly, many of these ideas seem to.
Yeah, well, we can bring this back up. Hold on, I'm going to.
Dude, bring up whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up this Discordianism. Now, were these guys were they working for Gladio?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, these so what we need to understand, first of all, and I'll just stop sharing for a second. I'll share something else here in a moment. But
yeah.
The first thing to understand is the fact that obviously we have U.S. intelligence they're devoting substantial resources for decades to studying mind control techniques, obviously, and so you have this kind of like this perfect intersection where you have mind control techniques meet these destabilization tactics that are employing these plausible deniability cutouts and organizations that are essentially sort of employed to run these black budget domestic operations that are, of course, beyond the domestic charter of these intelligence agencies. And so
Mhm.
it's the way of kind of subverting the legal consequence, but also having an implication or at least an influence on at a cultural level. I think at a much deeper cultural level. And so that's where they deploy these occult, principles and various ideological aspects that kind of like influence the culture in many ways, and obviously influenced the counterculture, which was entirely manufactured. At this point, that has to be the interpretation, right? Like you read Laurel Canyon, you understand how really the manipulation of public perception at the time was also in many ways to dismiss the naturally occurring anti-war movement surrounding the Vietnam War, which was very obviously they were utilizing this to run the black budget operations because it was clear as day, kind of like the initial playbook of what became Iran Contra, which was how do we fund these black budget operations? Well, we run drugs and smuggle weapons and maybe even sell children, right? And that's 100% where we find ourselves. We find ourselves where it all blends together at the intersection, and every single time. That's the case where we have targeted assassinations, human compromise, sexual blackmail, satanic ritual abuse, MK Ultra, right? Mind control techniques.
Project Monarch. Yeah. All that stuff, dude.
Yep.
So let's hold on. Okay. I don't want to disappoint people if they were curious about Discordianism. Let's bring this up. And then I want to ask you about Gladio. So Discordianism is a belief system based around Eris. Okay, the Greek goddess of strife and discord, and variously defined as a religion, new religious movement, virtual religion, or act of social commentary. Though prior to 2005, some sources categorized it as a parody religion. It was founded after the 1963 publication of its holy book, Principia Discordia, written by Greg Hill and Carrie Wendell Thornley, the two working under the pseudonyms Malacalypse the Younger and Omar Khayyam Ravenhurst. Uh-oh. Got another Raven. Wow, dude.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, dude. It's just another one of those offshoots of they're just worshiping another feminine energy, but just another name for one of the same deities.
And you know what? It turns out it's exposed as a CIA cutout, right? For basically reasons of running plausible deniability, but also having an occult impact on the culture. I think it's very strange, but I do think it falls in line with a lot of this research going underground because of due to the apparent the alleged transparency that took place with just the various hearings that took place in the 70s that very much obviously they were just at that point they were forced to create this kind of underground network, which I think they just really kind of already had in place in many ways, but just inevitably were forced to kind of rely solely on more of just escaping any sort of accountability in this modern framework of how you would it's just honestly at a certain point when you realize that a lot of these programs and projects were in place, like especially like the Phoenix program, which obviously they were torturing people at that point, and the torture was a huge part of the trauma-based mind control, I think, which is a part of how they implement the altars and these various these kind of dissociative identity disorder techniques that are in place for a lot of these victims who then become perpetrators. But as far as like in the Gladio tie-in to all of this, I think obviously at a certain point, and I kind of mentioned this on when we went on TFH, because it basically seems as if you look at Paul Williams, The Unholy Alliance, and you kind of, as far as like his Operation Gladio book, you kind of discover that the chronology of when Gladio began, and also the CIA was formed, it seems as if the CIA was established to be this sort of managing entity,
Yeah.
to kind of like manage the Gladio network, which had much to do with not only the rat lines being manifested as far as like the post World War II Nazi rat
Mhm.
lines,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how to provide this sort of network and avenue to really kind of like move these. They had the Nazi draft, obviously, and provided all these safe havens all over the world. And I think one of those places were in Canada. And so you see it rear its ugly head in many ways in like Colonia Dignidad and the Psychopath Machine and Oak Ridge and you see this weird kind of paperclip Nazi tie-in that always seems to at the very least, it dovetails perfectly in with how this all seemed to manifest in many ways. And you can even tie that in with Charles Manson specifically because of Krupp Ranch, which was the property directly, bordering.
Which ties back into the process church after that.
There you, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100% it does. And Jolyon West as well, right? Because
We're gonna get into that too.
100%. But so Krupp Ranch apparently was ran by a shitload of paperclip Nazis, and goes back to the old aristocracy. And understanding that as far as it borders the Spawn Ranch, which
wait.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm about to look it up.
It'll
Two
dude,
two
I'm telling you.
P's. Wait.
Yeah.
KRUPP.
Yep.
Okay, dude. This is a what is this? A German family? Yes.
Paperclip,
So
dog.
if you go in any elevator and you look up, you'll see this insignia. Looks like a trinity of some sort. It says Krupps Thyssen, which are two families that basically, yeah, dude. Wow. Yeah, this is one of the Illuminati bloodlines.
100%, buddy.
Yeah. Okay.
And this all came up whenever I was researching the Mama Cass Elliott connection to all of this, which is very
the mamas
strange.
and the papas. Yeah.
The mamas and the papas, dude. And I had no idea that there was let me find it here because here it is. Yeah, Mama Cass Elliott really provides another alternative potential motivation for the reason that Sharon Tate died in the first place. And by the way, holy shit, dude, I also found this out, and I was reading
When she
Dave
friends with
McGowan's
Sharon
work.
Tate?
Yeah, here's the problem, dude.
That's so fucked up, man. These people are sick.
Dude, Abigail Folger as well from the coffee. Folger, yeah, she's the heiress of the Folger
Folgers coffee.
Yeah, dude, Folger's coffee company, and they were all completely tied into this network, which implicated not only Manson, who they all knew personally, but also Bill Mincer, who's apparently referred to as Manson 2, who's the fucking, not only the hitman for the Cotton Club killings and the Cotton Club murders and the producer Roy Radin in Hollywood, but he's also apparently considered to potentially be the Zodiac killer. And I'll bring that up in a moment because it's absolutely
related to Ted Cruz's father as well.
Ted Cruz. Dude, that's so fucking funny.
Hold on, Grug, you asked me why I spelled gray with the E. Yeah, it's so people can't troll me as gay pilled, but they just replaced the R with an H, and there's your gay pilled. And someone, Kalani49 said, "Hey, love the content. I'm still binging your content." Thank you, Kalani.
Good shit.
Well, you may be talking to Austin, but you may be talking to me.
Jose and this motherfucker? I saw him a second ago.
Jose.
Yeah, there he is.
Hey, Jose.
Man, he keeps showing up in the chat.
Jose,
So,
dude, I was stoked to find out that Jose watched my Elohim etymologies. Like back when I first met
he
y'all.
told me about them.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh man. So,
dude, I'm
as
telling
always,
you, man, he's nothing but good people, man. But
love Jose.
for sure. But here's the crazy part. So you have these insane ties between not only John Phillips and Mama Cass, right? Mama Cass Elliott. with Charles Manson. But you have these ties between Cass Elliot and between Phillips and Cass and the Cielo Drive victims, because obviously John Phillips had invested $10,000 in Jay Sebring's business venture. Jay Sebring was obviously a victim, but also the infamous hairdresser for Sharon Tate, right? He was played by Emil Hirsch in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But that's who Jay Sebring technically was, and I found out something strange about
They
Jay
put
Sebring.
Mama Cass in that movie too, man.
So nuts.
Like, it's
dude.
crazy how it's that revelation of the method that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Somebody
And
so,
what do they say?
when is Adrian's next? Look,
Who's Adrian West?
my co-host of Elohim Etymology.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't know Ivar. Whenever he's not busy, he's usually pretty busy. That's why we try to get him in when we can. But yeah, they go to Patreon for about a week or so, and then they're released. You get the unedited version on Patreon, though. So, but yeah, shout out to Adrian. He was supposed to come on Wednesday night, but he ended up passing out.
It happens. I understand. But dude, I'm telling you, like, this is Dave McGowan, by the way, and anyone who doesn't utilize this resource, it's centerforaninformedamerica.com, and it's amazing because that is where you kind of still find a lot of his archived research. And this is a very short but brief connection to kind of like what he claimed potentially the connection was between Mama Cass and what her role was between in the Sharon Tate murders, potentially, which to me really kind of falls perfectly in place. And so not only was John Phillips invested in Jay Sebring's business venture, Sebring International, which apparently was rumored to have been a front for various illegal activities, including drug trafficking, which ties in perfectly with what was happening at the time. This is when they were running the Cadaver Connection and the strange, domestic facilitation and distribution of obviously the heroin and various drugs coming from the Philippines and Vietnam at the time,
Right.
being facilitated through these military bases. And so
was that
many
done through Operation Phoenix?
I think that was a huge part of it, but I think
Yeah.
Phoenix specifically was very strange because it seemed to be more in line with kind of like shaping the doctrine and social engineering aspect of like more almost like trauma-based mind control, because there seemed to be a lot of torture involved with the Phoenix program. Because I looked at it, dude. Listen to this shit. According to Doug Valentine, methods of torture that were utilized at the interrogation centers included, this is in the Phoenix program in Vietnam, rape, gang rape using eels,
Jesus,
snakes, brother, snakes. This is what we brought up when we talked about Detroit, where they were going around with a velvet snake, brother. Like that was what they were doing. And the same thing happened when I brought up the Python cowboy who was there at that crazy ass NASA black site where he's hunting pythons
that was bleeding out of its anus.
Asshole. Yeah.
What the hell, dude?
What the hell? That's what I'm saying. This was a fucking well-established project by the intelligence agencies during a fucking foreign conflict. Like, imagine, right?
That was a Jack Parsons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the Jack Parsons facility that was apparently tied all the way back into his, what was that?
The Scarlet Woman stuff that he was
trying
to do?
him and Babylon working. That was what it was.
Him and L. Ron Hubbard. It was Parsons and Hubbard were the ones that were like jerking each other off in the desert. And Crowley didn't like Hubbard at all.
Yeah.
He thought he was just putting on a show. And I mean, he founded Scientology. So Crowley probably saw that and was like, this guy's, I'm gay, but this guy's even gayer. You know what I mean?
That's so funny, man.
And yeah, so I mean, they were basically trying to do the same ritual, just at
Hey, rockets are
different
demonic.
places.
Basically, they're phallic
phallic.
sexual rituals, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sex
Shout-
rituals.
John Lee. Shout out
Dude,
John Lee was on
the
Wednesday
Apollo
night.
missions were all sex rituals, right? Like, obviously.
Oh,
you know?
Apollo, dude, the symbolism in the like all those missions, like the little like I guess you could call it the symbol for it, or like the badge for it, the insignia that they would put out. They're so occultic. It's wild. That's what I'm saying. That's how they tell us, like, yeah, you don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Exactly.
You know,
It's this phallus shaped, right? Like that's penetrating.
all
Dude,
goes back to Osiris, dude.
it's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize until I started researching that myself and kind of like, just fell into this strange underlying symbolism that obviously is involved with all of this. And another reason why, like I was talking with Monica this morning about how, they obviously fake the as far as like the footage from Mars. That's all faked. That's all
Absolutely.
actually. Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about? Just you look at Lookout Mountain Laboratory and how many films they produced there. Brother, that's where they were producing the test footage for the atomic bombs. Like, what are we even talking about when you can pull out like I thought it was so funny when he had when Rogan had on Andreessen and that Mark Andreessen, and they pulled up the actual footage, right, of the atomic tests. And it was so hilarious because you saw like where it was spliced, where the car was originally parked in front of the building.
Yeah.
And then as the footage continued, it obviously, all of a sudden there's no car. Then there's a car, but it's behind the building. And it's like, oh, well, this isn't real test footage. Like, it's obviously all been manipulated and manufactured in many ways. And
I don't think they're going to show anything that's actually real or what's actually going on. But they do use that symbolism, dude. I mean, the Apollo, that's the sun god, right?
Exactly.
Helios, and then you have the Phoenix program. That's another rebirth, alchemical rebirth type of thing. You know what I mean? When you get into the esoteric symbolism of the Phoenix and that whole process of it dying and being reborn. It's the same thing, like we were, the Osirian mystery schools, the Mithraic mysteries, all that stuff, man.
Dude, it's esoteric and occult in nature. Like, obviously, it's the same thing as like, yeah, dude. Yeah. And not only were they like raping these people with eels and snakes. Could you imagine?
No.
What hard objects, rape followed by murder, electrical shock. What they called the Bell telephone hour, rendering it was rendered by attaching wires to the genitals or other sensitive parts of the body like the tongue. Very much what they were doing at Colonia Dignidad, right? That Nazi safe haven where, man, it was like they had underground tunnels. It was so crazy what they were actually doing at Colonia Dignidad, right? With these very secure barriers of entry, like obviously with like electrical shock barriers. It was so crazy. Anyway, they had footage of everything as well, cameras rigged with, so it was obviously that they were running experiments in many ways. But they were separating mothers from their children, spouses from each other, and then like putting them with other people, arranging relationships sexually. Like, so many of these techniques are done in all of these various organizations of like that have this not only occult ideology but are directly kind of there's this deep connection to intelligence that seems to oversaturate, right? They're not only their incorporation but their foundation as well, right? And so that those organizations tend to utilize these various what did Dr. Corbo say? Colonia Dignidad experiment with puberty blockers for children before it was cool. There you go, man. You look into Colonia Dignidad, they had an archive that was very disturbing. There were sophisticated weapons being tested there. They were using it as a kind of a property to funnel arms smuggling through, as well as, of course, it was still a safe haven that was modeled and set up as 1940s Germany, as if it was a time warp. You know, you would go to Colonia Dignidad, they're all speaking German, and they all have like all the architecture, everything. It was almost like going to North Korea, right? Or the labor camps in Siberia, where it's like all of it's North Korean architecture, and they all think they're still in North Korea, and they're hearing the North Korean national anthem, but they're like, I have no fucking idea where I'm at. But it's crazy, man. For real. Could you imagine?
Dude. Yeah.
It
No,
is.
actually, I couldn't imagine.
No, they would try and escape. They would go into the Siberian jungle and then just like
Fuck that,
inevitably die, right? Because like, what are you going to do? You look at that landscape, man. Good luck trying to escape. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dude. So give me like a summary of what Operation Gladio is. It operation? It's operation, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Operation
I
Gladio.
never know, dude. I'm not as deep into the parapolitical as you and Jose, but I try to keep up. Like who started it and like for what reason?
Right. So Operation Gladio, I honestly think that what is really most important is to understand kind of like, first of all, we need to realize the chronology involved here. You have obviously the individuals who are directly involved with setting up the Gladio operation, which was Alan Dulles, of course, William Donovan, Wild Bill William Donovan, who's the executive director of the OSS and chairman of the World Commerce Corporation, Reinhard Gehlen, who Nazi general, commanded the Werewolves, the first Gladio unit. The Werewolves, that's also very interesting and in itself sort of occult in nature in its connotation. James Jesus Angleton, of course, is very much a key operative within this context. And James Jesus Angleton has been kind of like receiving a lot of the spotlight in terms of the recent JFK files as being the individual who had like set up the liaison. He was the liaison between the Mossad and running the Mossad connection to the CIA at the time of the JFK assassination. So you've had a lot of those connections.
What are you talking about, bro? Mossad wasn't involved.
Right. Hey, that's what we're supposed to believe. Ask Ben Shapiro what happened.
Right. Oh, God. Oh, man. I can't even.
It doesn't matter. Like, okay. It was a long time ago.
Right. Yeah. What else was a long time ago, Ben?
Yeah. Holocaust, Schmolocaust.
6 million. Yeah, dude. It's like, fuck off.
That was my favorite tweet that Sam had in reacting to that was he legitimately said Holocaust, Schmolocaust. I almost fucking died, dude. 100%.
Oh,
so
Sam, man.
I know. But so this James Jesus Angleton, he's obviously the commander of the secret counterintelligence unit of the OSS at the time that Gladio was implemented. Then you have Valerio Borghese, who's very much implicated in organized crime at the time.
What's that last name?
Borghese.
Like the Borghese.
Yes. Yeah.
Black nobility family.
Exactly, brother.
There you go. There's the main influence probably behind that, dude. I mean, I think they're at the top of damn near. That's why you don't hear about them.
The pinnacle of power.
Unless you go look for it. You know, the Venetian banking families.
That makes all the sense in the world as far as the Vatican Bank was utilized in my mind, and as far as all the money laundering operations, but black budget funding internationally. I think the Vatican Bank financed so much of this, and people don't understand. That's why Mother Teresa, the child sex trafficker,
right?
You know, it's like that. That's why she was laundering like $50 to $100 million a year through the Vatican Bank, man. You know, and so in my mind, it's like the pinnacle of like the right of at the pinnacle of morality, motherfucking Teresa is over here doing business with Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father. Yes.
And like, yeah, when you look back now, I mean, I'm sure there's people, dude, there's people that wouldn't even consider this like
No, there's no way.
to even be possible, dude.
Yep.
I mean, no one
I'm
knows
here with
even
you, brother.
like normies don't know who Robert Maxwell is. You know, they can't even pronounce Ghislaine's name.
Yep.
Right? They're like Giselle or
Who are you, Dr.
Gisline.
Corbo? How do you know these fucking things?
Dude, Dr. Corbo is all knowing.
Yeah.
This guy, we've been missing you, man. We haven't been seeing you on Already Dead.
I
You've been
know.
busy.
I haven't seen him as often on the morning shows either. So what's up, Dr.
He helped me
Corbo?
figure out some stuff months ago about Samael and Semyaza, a bunch of stuff.
I'm telling you, man.
That in the chat, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Right. He introduced me to many things, actually, just as far as like his depth of knowledge is palpable, honestly. He's a fountain of useless trivia. I love it.
Not
dude.
all useless.
Hey, man.
Trust me. We appreciate
Apply
it.
yourself and you can become a voice in this in this landscape, brother. I would love to have a show with you. Hit me up if you're ever interested. Honestly, it would be so much fun.
Oh, dude.
But
yeah, let's have him on Already Dead if you
that
ever
would
want
be
to come on, dude.
Hey.
I know Jose would be down.
Dude, we've engaged with him so often that why the hell wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
And obviously he has some sort of like very much he understands a lot of this, so I'm interested. But anyway, this Borghese, Junio Valerio of Borghese, leader of Decima Mas and commander of the Gladio units in Italy, Paul Helliwell, OSS official director of Sea Supply Incorporated and the president of the Castle and Trust Bank, Lucky Luciano, American mafioso, agent of the ONI and the kingpin of the international heroin trade.
Yeah.
So many, it's just every single aspect of how you run black budget operations is internationally is involved in Gladio and the umbrella of Gladio itself. So that itself, you have P2 members, La Circle members, obviously, which ties in the occult framework in more ways than one. And leader of the Sovereign Order of the Knights of Malta and the CIA operative Cardinal. Yes.
Knights of Malta thrown right in there, dude. When you talk about anything that, well, when I think of anything that has to do with these black nobility families, that automatically comes into my mind.
Yes. No doubt in my mind as well. And that's where you have this Cardinal Francis Spellman, who's very much the leader of the Sovereign Order of the Knights of Malta and CIA operative at this time that Gladio was implemented. And William Colby, who, shit, man. I mean, isn't it William Colby who on my personal profile on Twitter, I believe, is oh no, it's always, I always mix them together, William Casey and William Colby, but they're the fucking same basically, because honestly, when you realize that what Colby, I think, was inevitably he kind of lost his life as a result of this, right? Because of you remember the boat accident, right? It's very strange, but I think that he was assassinated. He was kind of tasked with the church committee hearings as being the individual who was kind of like, hey, you're going to be the voice of this is false transparency. Here's where we'll at least like introduce certain aspects of what we're capable of, like the heart attack gun, where we'll pass up to Frank Church in the church committee hearings. It's so crazy to watch him pass up the heart attack gun, William Colby. He passes it up with like the cartridge that's utilized, and they say, well, basically they can set a timer and decide when the heart attack will take place and the death will occur, and which I found very insane that they were capable of this in the 70s.
Dude,
right?
They had it that long ago.
Yeah. No shit.
There's no telling how many people they've used it on. I know Isaac Cappy was definitely one of those people.
It seems that way, buddy.
I mean, for him to be driving down the road just to have a heart attack by playing a song on the radio or a song. I think, wasn't it the song started playing?
Yeah.
It was Phil Collins or
Oh my
something
God.
in the air tonight, and it just starts playing, and he just dies, right?
You know what, man?
And you got Tom Hanks making cryptic fucking posts and shit, and then moving to Greece and all that. Dude, I remember when that happened. I was like, this is insane. This isn't real.
Exactly. Exactly. Honestly, man. And you wonder why. Like, what was it? What was the name of that doctor that he essentially during the James Holmes episode that I covered, basically this doctor explained how EMF, right, was really they could pull up outside of your house, pull up on the street, and they could target you with these electromagnetic frequencies that would then render you incapable and vulnerable in this, like, essentially they could run subconscious sophisticated subconscious programming while you were asleep, right? In your sleep. And so it's basically what he explained. And it was Dr. Robert Duncan. I've talked about it a million times, honestly, but he really does, like, put into perfect terms what they're capable of, right? And this basically he was explaining that the CIA, in order to, subvert certain international laws forbidding the agency to engage in the assassination of foreign leaders, and through the strategy of indirection or utilizing agency handlers to indoctrinate individuals into these Manchurian candidate programs, they self-righteously sort of like assert plausible deniability after the fact in many ways, by kind of really, essentially creating these programs of Manchurian candidates where basically his whole take comes from Project Soulcatcher, Secrets of Cyber and Cybernetics Revealed. And he kind of explains how this Manchurian candidate program was really kind of like, he had interviewed over 650 people who had claimed to have been under government mind control, many of them in this Manchurian candidate program. And he then went and notified this intelligence select committee and met with 26 senators and the head of the LA FBI. And he, after working with this consortium of scientists on a research project for over like 8 years, like almost 10 years, he provided this estimate. And he says that 10,000 Manchurian candidates are in the works being programmed by the CIA right now that can be used at any time around the world. However, he did conclude by explaining that only a small percentage actually become successful Manchurians, because there's a sort of timetable involved with until they become like personally aware of their programming, which to me always triggers the memory of that individual who had broken into a theme park in Colorado, and he had first of all, he had suicided himself, but before doing so, he had written on the mirror in the bathroom that he had like barricaded himself in, that essentially he was attempting to subvert his programming, and the only way to do so was to effectively terminate himself, right? Because this programming was going to take place whether he liked it or not. And I can't recall the actual quote that was on the mirror that he had written, but it very much seemed to implicate the fact that he had been some sort of Manchurian candidate that had been utilized to effectively shoot up a theme park or an amusement park in Colorado. And so that itself is like, it at the very least, is something that you have to consider,
Well, I mean, like you said, they had what, 10,000, like, you could say super soldiers, right? That they can just turn on. But yeah, the programming does wear off, and maybe that's when these people have these breakdowns and just go, fucking crazy.
What if you just wake up and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? Like Tamerlane Tsarnaev, who couldn't account for this loss in time, and he couldn't account for why the fuck am I here right now? And then all of a sudden he's telling his mother that, hey, I feel like somebody's affecting me psychologically, and that my brain is fracturing into two. That's what he said. And that's Tamerlane Tsarnaev, the allegedly, the key perpetrator in the Boston Marathon bombings.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling his mom this when the FBI is visiting his parents, and they're like, hey, by the way, the FBI really doesn't like it when people blow shit up domestically in the U.S. And they're just like kind of setting this precedent subconsciously in the minds. It's very interesting. But you listen to what the mom says and what the father says as well. And they believe that obviously Tamerlane was being called by these individuals who were, affiliated with intelligence at the time. And I'm telling you, man, when you listen to Zahar Tsarnaev, the little brother, both of them, by the way, Tamerlane and Zahar, they were both like, they received like glowing reviews personally as far as anyone who knew them. They were good people, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason for them to behave this way, and it was entirely outside of their character. All their teachers, anyone who personally knew them.
And that was the story with the guy that was in New Orleans during the New Year's Day shooting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone was like, he was a good guy,
Yeah, makes no sense. Entirely outside of his character. And what is
I do want to bring this up real fast. We got a Rumble rant from Bill the Butcher.
Hell
Bill,
yeah.
thank you for the $10 with the Elmo fire. Yeah, he was putting the Yakub emoji in there. I don't think he knew who Yakub was.
I love it. Hey man,
Forgot I made that. He says
That's
it's
so
gay
funny.
as fuck. It's a joke, Bill. The emoji. It's just a joke. Yakub created whites, apparently.
Right.
The big-headed alien who really lines right up with Inky, to be honest with you. Like the same Nudima, the artful fashioner or whatever. And the theory that Inky may have been black. I don't know. But hey, it's good to see you, Tiffany. Sorry, don't take your light back.
That's
Really
so
like the
fucking
video.
funny. Hey, how about
both everybody?
No, you're good, brother. Let me fill up my drink. I have to take a piss real quick, and then I'll be right back, and we'll actually get into some of the content we had actually prioritized coming in here.
Hey, sit there for 2
Something's
seconds.
wrong with me, brother. Yeah.
Let me grab. No, nothing's wrong with you. Hold on.
I'm telling you right now, fucking Monica has me on earlier, and I essentially talk about really, I mean, I guess I effectively did tie in a few things, but so much of what I discussed was just not exactly what I intended to prioritize in regards to the conceptual outline of things. But hey,
pineapple. I didn't know which one to choose. My THC seltzer.
Nice. What's the brand?
Noble. It's made in Mississippi, so we'll see
Okay.
how the fuck it is.
Hell
I
yeah.
guess the audience will see how it is.
Right.
Now,
We'll see
dude, go
what-
do what you have to do. I'll hang out.
I'll
with
be
everybody.
right back. Then we'll actually get into some of these things, because I do think that it'd be a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to at least like be right back.
What happened? You muted for a second.
I don't know.
My fucking
Did I mute?
StreamYard. You're good now. It's just StreamYard being a
Alright, I'll be right back.
bag. What's up, guys? Yeah, Noble. 5 milligram THC seltzer. I had a peach and a pineapple one. I guess I'll take the peach. Anything peach is good, right? But again, Bill, thank you for the donation, man. I appreciate it. I don't like to grovel for money or donations, guys, but if you do want to support the show, you can do so by donating with Rumble Rants. Also, Patreon. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/greypilledpodcast. A lot of good shit going on over there. Doing chapter 2 of Initiates of the Flame tomorrow. It's on Shambhala, right? Well, it's Shambhala, Valhalla, but this place. So y'all be up in the morning. I'm gonna try to go at around 8:30, 9 o'clock, for my daughter gets dropped off. Because I also have a show at 5 Central tomorrow with Trebles Garcia from the Paranoia Radio podcast. Been trying to get Trebles on for a minute. He's a good guy. So finally happy I can do that. But yeah, I'll do that Patreon episode in the morning for all of you grapists out there. And Sunday Chaos, guys. Me, Conspiracy Extremist, and now. So, y'all hear me? I guess. All right, there we go. Turn it down a little bit in case y'all didn't hear me. Sunday Chaos. Nate and Squatch from Schizo News Network will be on the show with me and Conspiracy Extremist. And Not Nice Guy. So it's like the Temu Tower gang, I guess. I don't think we're funny, so y'all come hang out. It's every other Sunday. So over. No, Q. We're just getting started, dude. We'll probably go for another hour, 2 hours, probably another 2 hours. Whenever me and Austin do a show, man, he likes coming on Greyfield. Apparently, I don't know why anyone would. But if you watch the Wednesday night show, you get to hear John Lee and Olivia argue for 15 minutes over flat Earth. Tried to prevent it, couldn't. It is what it is.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. Y'all know that my wife is going to let her opinion be known. So she comes on here and lets it happen. I've told people before, if it wasn't for Olivia, y'all wouldn't be probably wouldn't be listening to me right now. She's the one that do this. So.
Dude,
we're trying to do another paid lawn for Patreon soon, guys. We have an episode with. Oh, speaking of Olivia, hey, bud.
bro.
I won't tell.
Dude, listen to this shit. All right.
Listening. Okay, we're back. Austin's back. Did you get some more whiskey, or are you?
Hey, we're good to go, brother.
Fuck
we
yeah,
are good to go. Oh yeah, I'm good. It's
very nice.
mm-hmm.
Why are you making that face? What kind of face was that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I never finished telling you this point. This is what I fucking did with Monica this morning.
what?
I started to tell her all these different things. Never finished one point.
Dude,
Just talk.
I interrupted you like 50 times. And by the way, on Spotify, people have a problem with how much I interrupt you. My wife is making like a very like Down syndrome face and like creeping around the corner. Yeah, I don't know what she's doing. Did you get into one of these?
She's experiencing. We're seeing the consequences in real time.
Nice boobs.
Hey, whoa, what's happening here? Oh shit! Gray pilled after dark, baby.
After dark, dude. Friday night gray pills are back, motherfuckers. What's up?
Man,
All right.
You
You got Q in the chat talking about his farts.
I'm
There
so,
we go.
like, I'm so grateful that we've kind of like been able to fall into this network of like-minded individuals that seem to have the best of intentions. You know what I'm saying? But like, still just want to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, which is like all you could ever hope for. You know, like especially considering how much they're attempting to demoralize us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
No, Mac. That's
hey,
not
man,
in Mac. Sorry.
I love you and your family. You know this, brother. You know, so that's all. Basically,
Austin's witnessed it before.
hey, I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
I was
Uh-oh, here comes Dr. Corbeau. He's telling me what's up.
like,
Don't trust him. Don't trust. It's the feds, man. Oh shit. Okay. Well, everything glows like the sun at this point, so fuck it, dude. Look at him. Jules is over there glowing. God damn it, Jules. What?
dude, Fed. I had someone on Twitter was like, commented under Sam whenever he posted the tinfoil hat episode and was like, "Oh, a new Jesuit butt buddy." I'm just like, yes.
Yeah,
Fucking, I was like, hey, come up with better conspiracies about me, please.
Hey,
You know, just
dude.
reveling in it, dude. I bring it. It's all good.
For you, dude. Because I was a white supremacist when I went on.
Oh, I've
Apparently.
been called.
Right.
Well, someone told me to jump off a cliff because I refer to blacks as inner city youths, and I was like, I could have said something a lot worse.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Hey, check out Great Pilled. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll have a difference in opinion as far as the
gone,
terms
Jay
that you utilize.
It's not gone, dude. I'll do a cryptid watch whenever. When do you want another cryptid watch? How about next Sunday when we don't do Sunday Chaos? I'll hook up that cryptid watch for y'all. We'll see what's up. Or this week at some point, because I do have some more cryptid videos.
Send me the background. Send me the background checks, Dr. Corbeau.
Early life
brother.
checks. Early life checks. So anyway, so all these guys that were in Gladio, they seem like pretty important people. Do you think they were all occultists of some sort, or
hey man, God's banker, Licio Gelli. He's also Grandmaster of P2 and Director of the Strategy of Tension. So again, like, you just consistently accumulate these individuals who all make up what are essentially referred to as the leading rogues, right? The leading rogues, like facilitating this agenda and this operation. And it starts to make a lot more sense, because again, this is kind of the intersection where you start to realize that you have what Paul Williams so poignantly referred to in his book, The Unholy Alliance, Operation Gladio, the unholy alliance between the Vatican, the CIA, and the mafia. But what he didn't put in the title was, and the clandestine occult underground, basically.
Right.
They were essentially utilizing for plausible deniability in many ways, and and that effectively implicates all these various organizations that were practicing these occult philosophies and principles, in more than one way. So again, that's what I think is so like valuable from Paul Williams' work in Operation Gladio in the first place. But then you go through the leading rogues, and then honestly, you kind of assess the chronology again, which is a part of what I mentioned on TFH, which is essentially you have this conference, this Havana conference, and Angleton and Borghese establishing the Italian stay-behind units in 45. Then you have this Lucky Luciano hosting the Havana conference in 46, October. So April 45, James Jesus Angleton and Borghese established the Italian stay-behind units. The Fort Hunt conference in February 45, a few months prior, is when they formed Gladio. And then in October 1946, Lucky Luciano, again, as I mentioned, Havana conference, he hosts it. September 47, the CIA is established. November 1947, heroin comes to Harlem. PCI makes monumental election gains. January 1948, Vatican receives $65 million in black funds. January 1951, the CIA develops the drug trade with KMT. 1953, the fall, Operation Mockingbird. January 55, establishment of Catholic Gladio. You essentially kind of lay out what seems to fall perfectly in place with this theory that the CIA was essentially kind of formed to manage the Gladio operation and the rat line networks that were put into place post World War II.
So Gladio wasn't the precursor to the CIA. It kind of came after.
No. Yeah, it basically was the OSS, the precursor.
Okay.
And there was one additional intelligence. There was an additional name that was in between, like that period of time between the OSS and the CIA before it was officially founded, and it was essentially called something different. But Austin has a rabid fan base that despises. Hold on. I gotta read this. Austin has a rabid fan base that despises any curtailment of Austin's speech, despite the fact that he'll talk for 40 minutes. Fuck you, Jose. What the fuck, dude? Yeah, man.
We know
I gotta call you tomorrow or something. Like, what the fuck? He's airing out our grievances here, bro. What?
I mean, I guess you came to the right place to do that. I think this is already hidden.
The gray pill. Is that what you're saying? It's kicking in?
Yeah.
Jose, you motherfucker.
We'll see how it is.
Dude, between all right, man. Honestly,
right.
at this point,
I derailed you again, didn't I?
Dude, it's Jose's fault. It's all Jose's fault.
Damn it, Jose.
But no.
Okay, cool.
So what we were essentially laying out was the fact that Operation Gladio seems to be this sort of, the CIA was established to manage that very network that was very well, essentially put into place post World War II via the Nazi rat lines. You know what I mean? And and so again, I think the chronology itself kind of like alludes to that being a reality. We do complete each other, Jose. I love you so much, brother. That's all you had to say, man. but yeah, so after this, man, you start to understand that these P2 lodges start to pop up on all these various NATO bases, and you have these kind of like these Gladio destabilization techniques mounting in a coup in Turkey. And all of this is happening within 1958 to 59. This leads into the assassination of JFK. And then, of course, like the reaction to it all, which was the sort of like in 68, the cleanup crew was given the green light, right? And they really went around utilizing the Howard Hughes network of plausible deniability, the various domestic black sites of training these targeted assassinations, or at least the assassins who would carry out the targeted assassinations.
Right.
And many of them, Cuban exiles, various, at least like they played a role. And then, of course, you have Marita Lorenz, who's claiming that she was a witness to, some of the prior planning, as well as like the kind of the distribution of the weapons that were utilized in Dallas to assassinate JFK. She was there at one of the black sites in I think New Orleans. Maybe it was on the East Coast at the time. I can't recall at this moment, but just offhand. But it's very interesting because you start to realize, like, oh my fucking God, man, like there was this policy, well-established policy of domestic black sites propped up by these private sector interests. That this is the intersection of really, it's kind of how they leverage and exploit the public-private partnerships, is how I should say it. And this all has been a long-standing playbook exploited and leveraged to the benefit of the elite aristocracy, the intelligence apparatus that is obviously kind of like, implementing the infrastructure that needs to be in place in order to kind of construct this false reality that we're all subscribing to in this very moment in time. And in order to subvert the future of a society and to as James D. Eugenio said in his book, betray the destiny of a people, this is the way. This is how you have to cast the shadow. You have to provide the infrastructure necessary in order for this covert and clandestine reality to take shape for public perception. And that that alone is what kind of like, I don't know, drives us to embrace the false reality as it's structured.
Right.
Wherever we fall, like wherever we fall or find ourselves on that political spectrum. And man, it's so fucking frustrating to right to see that play out. But all I can do is take hope and optimism in the fact that like I find you and I find, the people in the motherfucking chat and the
Yeah,
people who
love 'em.
Jose, man, Sam, Monica, like everyone that we're dialoguing with and attempting to have a constructive conversation with that's worthwhile, that pursues some sort of avenue of interest that will, remove the veil on public perception. Because all we can hopefully attempt to do is like peel back these layers that are truly intended to cloud our perspective, and obviously to forcefully place us into the establishment line. And fuck that. We better buck that every opportunity we have. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so that's where I'm kind of finding myself, is I'm desperately trying to conceptualize all of this personally, because it's so much to take in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man, like strategy of tension,
Most people would go crazy.
Yeah.
Looking into all the stuff that you look into, that you and Jose look into, some of the stuff that I look into,
Yes.
I don't think some people realize. But so where does Dr. Jolyon West fit into all of this? Was MK Ultra created before or after Gladio?
Well, MK Ultra is interesting because it's obviously it's like more, like the actual timestamp on MK Ultra, early 50s, is when they allegedly claimed that they developed these at least began to develop these techniques of potentially psychologically manipulating individuals through utilizing various chemicals, whether it's scopolamine, like I had forgotten to mention earlier today. The fact that I had said like LSD, just kind of more in like a blanket reference. But clearly you have things like the devil's breath, right? That is what scopolamine is, which very much is like utilized in so many different crimes that, like it's strange. There are stories of prostitutes who will just, kind of seduce you at a bar and then sprinkle scopolamine powder into your drink. You have no idea. And then all of a sudden, you're entirely, like 100% entirely suggestible to whatever comes next. And whether that is take this gun, shoot this person in the head, you won't think twice. You'll do it. You won't have any memory of it, no recall. It's called the devil's breath for a reason. And it's utilized in a shit. Like, I forget the percentage of crimes that it's utilized in. I could pull it up, but honestly,
Dude,
too
I
much.
completely forgot about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they would use something like that. And I mean, so you can just get that naturally just by
Oh yeah. Yeah.
well,
No, we're all
I
fucked.
don't know. That's a scary thing.
Talk about
dude.
EMF. The cops can pull up outside of your house and then subliminal messaging and subconscious programming happening in your sleep, and you have no knowledge of it actually taking place. Like that is a reality, something that we have to acknowledge as again, I've mentioned so many times, just kind of like various examples reinforcing the reality of what they are capable of. Like that was something that I mentioned recently with Sam was Michael Hastings' death. And I think I even brought it up recently on Already Dead or something. I can't remember, but it's just so ridiculous that people actually question the fact that like he committed suicide. Like, no way. There's no way in my mind that he committed suicide. And to understand the fact that they can hack into your, technological motherboard in your Mercedes, right? Which the specific model he owned at the time on Sunset Boulevard that night just so happened to fit that profile. And then all of a sudden, oh, whoa, this has never happened before. It's very strange that he wouldn't even take his foot off the accelerator, even right before you would inherently brace for, right, an impact, especially some sort of impact like that. You wouldn't be able to even naturally withhold yourself from being able to do something of that nature. There's no fucking way. As much as you would want to kill yourself, it's almost just, as far as I can tell and everything I've read, it's just natural reaction to pull that foot off at the very last second and brace for impact. And that shit didn't happen. And so that implicates and alludes to the fact that potentially, yes, you had, a manipulation of the technological computer motherboard in the vehicle itself, which obviously slammed that accelerator to the floor. And it wasn't his foot that was responsible for the fact that he could not slow that vehicle that careened into that palm tree and just blew the fuck up on Sunset Boulevard that night at like 3 a.m. When in reality, he's exposing the fact that General Stanley McChrystal is he's running an article in the Rolling Stone called The Runaway General. And General Stanley McChrystal, who's a member, who's running the Joint Special Operations Command, but at the time of this publication and this as far as this Michael Hastings article, dude, it's all happening when he's running the Afghanistan war under Obama as a 4-star general. And so it leads to his resignation. And just after the fact, Michael Hastings has another story he's about to effectively run with. And the operators is in the works as far as his book, which was the inevitable result of his article on McChrystal. And he finds himself dead on Sunset at like 3 a.m. And they say it's because he's a sad dude that murdered himself. But I don't think that's a reality, man. Like, at this point, we have to understand the fact that like guys like Isaac Cappy and Michael Hastings especially, like, yeah, they don't accidentally find themselves in those very what do they say? We're supposed to, we're intended to embrace the fact that this was allegedly a coincidence.
Yeah,
I don't believe in coincidence, my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
Not anymore.
No, not at all. Not in the least.
Exactly. What are we supposed to talk about?
We were. I was asking you about MK Ultra and Jolly West.
Jolyon West. Man, well, there's many places we could begin with old Dr. Jolly.
Yeah.
Like,
what a
honestly,
name.
yeah, seriously, man. But it's kind of funny because the mind control aspect of like the CIA and just covert operations domestically being continued in this covert clandestine way, using these cults as deniable fronts, and that's what I think is very important to acknowledge as well, because just understanding that fact, you begin to realize like, all right, that's why Discordianism existed. Like you look into what Carrie Thornley was actually doing. It was an intelligence cutout. It was a front organization in order to run domestic operations. And so that itself
seems like all these things are, dude.
It has to be in a way. And as much as it's also like convincing the 22 members of the of the Berkowitz cult, the 22 disciples of hell, or whatever they were called, divine 22. I can't remember. I never remember that term, but still,
I'll look it up.
Yeah, actually influencing these individuals at the lower level of the cult, of the sect, of the ideological framework to kind of carry out these targeted assassinations with this theological framework in mind, as if they are actually implementing the ultimate sacrifice. That in itself is important, because it seems to be some sort of like a tool to manipulate the psychology of individuals who are willing, more than willing, at a certain level, through this kind of prior programming and group think, to commit such heinous crimes without any real knowledge of why they're even committing such a thing. Of course, they can be, and the whole point being that they are. Berkowitz cult shit comes straight out of Jack Chick tracks. His whole Sam Hain spew. Dude, I'm telling you. Huh.
Jack Chick, dude. That guy was involved with fucking John Collins. You know what I'm talking about? The crazy guy who became like he became a Christian and then did those I guess they were lectures, on witchcraft, and like me and Ani Asaru and the Paranoid American actually did a deep dive on that. Y'all should go check that out if y'all haven't seen that. Yeah, that's crazy that Dr. Corbo, of course, bringing it up, dude. Yeah, right? Jack Chick based these comic books off of Lance Collins. Like him and Lance Collins, John Todd, they had what was it called?
That's fucked up.
The something in the Switchblade, the cross in the Switchblade. I think, I don't know.
Really?
I should look into that. Maybe Corbo knows. Maybe Dr. Corbo knows.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, the Wandering Bishops I had mentioned earlier, right? You have this so the New Orleans connections to the Process Church are fucking crazy, right? Because you have that. Oh yeah, dude. You have Tommy Baumler himself. He worked in Guy Bannister's office alongside David Ferry, and he's the individual who incorporated the Process Church, right, in Louisiana. This is all based on Louisiana business filings for the organization. Which, by the way, all of this registered originally in the Process Church of the Final Judgment as the name, and this was registered on June 21st, 1968, and then
it's called Spellbound. Spellbound is what it's called.
Okay,
yeah, it's wild,
dude. Oh yeah, Carrie Thornley. This Alec Heidel says. I think he's got to be referring to Carrie Thornley because he definitely, Jim Garrison says he was one of the Oswald impersonators. That's a crazy fucking story, dude. Let me finish that story real quick because it's very short. And I had actually tweeted about it earlier. And basically, Carrie Thornley, right, dude that wrote that insane fictional narrative in 1962, the year before JFK's murdered, called The Idle Warriors, about basically a lifestyle mirroring Oswald's.
Right.
And then he goes down to New Orleans and is associated with Guy Bannister, David Ferry, and Clay Shaw. And Oswald living in the city at the time, right, in New Orleans. And so the FBI, aware of Thornley's novel, and so after the assassination, obviously, of JFK, they asked him to testify before the Warren Commission. Jim Garrison later claimed that Thornley and Lee Harvey Oswald were involved together in covert CIA operations. He also argued that Thornley had impersonated Oswald between the years 1961 and 1963 in his book On the Trail of the Assassins, which was published in 1988. Garrison insists that Thornley was friends with another possible conspirator named Johnny Roselli, right, which is directly tied into organized crime at the time. And in 1992, Thornley appears on a television program, A Current Affair, where he confesses that he had been a part of a conspiracy to assassinate John F. Kennedy. And he refuses to name the fellow co-conspirators, which obviously involved, Well, that reminds me specifically of the fact that Helena Stokely in the Fort Bragg murders refused to name any of her accomplices, which directly tied in the Process Church of the Final Judgment, which I found out the actual name of the accomplices themselves, and 3 perpetrators came forward anyway, and they all presented, and as far as like different accounts of participation in the murders, and ultimately confessing. So you have 3 different individuals: Kathy Perry, Greg Mitchell, and Helena Stokely, all admitted to being members and of the Process Church local chapter and committing the actual murders of Jeffrey McDonald at Fort Bragg. Or as far as like his family, right? His wife Colette, who was pregnant at the time, and his 3.5 and 5-year-old.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's absolutely nuts. And so that alone, when you kind of discover the fact that there are these additional connections, really like laying out the reality that apparently there was involvement of this individual who was named the Wizard, right? And this dude, Helena Stokely, absolutely refused to identify as far as this individual's name. She consistently claimed to not know who the Wizard was. And he was discovered to be this individual named Francis Winterbourne, who was a known member of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. And apparently members of the cult who were responsible for distributing drugs up and down the East Coast from New York to Miami throughout what became known, as I had mentioned earlier, the Cadaver Connection, including this heroin being smuggled through Fort Bragg domestically through the dead GIs, right? The bodies of the dead GIs, man. And also using their coffins.
Frank Lucas, that the black guy from New York, that American Gangster was made out of. Yeah, that's or made the story of him. That's what that movie was based off of. Yeah, they show him putting the heroin and the dead bodies of the soldiers. That's
Isn't
wild,
that
dude.
insane, brother? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you I don't know, man. Like after I started to realize how much of this is also like I had mentioned all these strange connections to New Orleans in the process at the time, man, not only was it incorporated in New Orleans, right, during this time by Tommy Baumler, who's also affiliated with David Ferry and Guy Bannister's office, Louisiana. It turns out that Thomas Jude Baumler and Jack Martin jointly incorporated the Louisiana Psychoanalytic Association as well. And apparently, according to the New Orleans Times Picayune, these citations by Jerry Shinley, purportedly Baumler was involved in the American Association of Ethical Hypnotists. Now, obviously, David Ferry himself, as I had mentioned prior to this, he's discovered with books on the occult and hypnotism that belonged, right, to the old Catholic Church, alongside William Joseph Bryan, from whom he might have learned hypnotism, allegedly. And this is all according to Daniel Hopsicker's Burying the Boys, which I had mentioned earlier as well. And so in
Thank
this,
you, man. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So it's interesting, dude, because it turns out this individual named Judith Very Baker claims that Ferry was part of the MK Ultra project. Check this out, Jules. That David Ferry, part of the MK Ultra project, trying to do experiments on boys at the Tulane University, which was proven to be linked to MK Ultra at the time, right?
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans, at Tulane University, he's running MK Ultra operation or projects, right? Or at least a part of the MK Ultra project, and he's at least trying to run experiments on these boys at Tulane. Yeah, Dr. Mary's Monkeys entirely involved into David Ferry. Apparently, they were running. This is where HIV allegedly gets exposed to the public at large.
What?
Yeah, 100%. David Ferry's involved in this. It's so crazy, man.
He's hanging out with Fauci, dude.
Hey, Fauci was just employed to kind of run the well, I mean, Fauci's responsible for a lot of different things, running experiments himself in many ways on young, children who can't in any way consent.
And his mom was friends with Mother Teresa, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, they say that Mother Teresa's his mom.
Yeah, I was fucking A, man. Like,
you put a picture of the two together and you're like, oh my God, that's
absolutely
pretty
right,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, so it's possible. But at least that's definitely been a huge conspiracy. But anyway, it gets even crazier, man, because apparently he's running these experiments on these boys at Tulane University, all a part of MK Ultra. And then he's obviously exposed by this investigation into Ferry for molesting boys from the Civil Air Patrol Squadron. And guess what? Of course, Lee Harvey Oswald, Barry Seal as well were members of this fucking Civil Air Patrol. Yes, dude.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear to God. So you have he's hypnotizing these boys and raping them, basically having gay sexual relationships with these boys. And after they're hypnotized. So yes, what he was doing, at least one of the boys was hypnotized by Ferry and proven to be. And Cuban exiles such as Sergio Archada Smith were apparently intimidating witnesses. And some of the boys even claimed that Ferry took them to Cuba on unspecified missions. So this is all.
I don't like this David Ferry guy. Fuck
David Ferry. Again, pull up a picture of him right now.
Yeah,
with
let's
his
do
eyebrows and everything.
I was gonna say, so was he
This
hanging out with
fucking
Jolly
guy.
West, or was he also in New Orleans with?
They're all
Ferry,
directly
or-
implicated because MK Ultra, obviously, Dr. Jolly's directly. He's brought in from the False Memory Syndrome Board of Direct. He's a part of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation in many ways as well. So I find that interesting because, of course, he's affiliated with the Patty Hearst trial, which is
That looks
always
like a freak.
yeah. David
Fucking-
Ferry is a pedophile, a homosexual maniac. Telling you,
a mugshot of him. Pretty sure
Mhm.
it's a mugshot. Let's pull this up. This him?
That's the man.
Jesus. man,
Look at
what
this
a
fucking guy.
mess. Yeah. That's
So
disgusting, dude.
I posted this earlier, right?
They usually look like this. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
some dysgenic freak. Like I said,
100%. This guy, a part of the that same what was it though? They called him the shit. They were these Catholic priests at the time, and he ended up being essentially blackballed and kicked out of the organization because he was allegedly a homosexual. But I think it was because he was also a homosexual pedophile, which, what's the real, as far as at that point, it's very interesting because, again, you have this American Orthodox Catholic Church was one. Yeah, they called themselves the traveling, like, shit, dude. I'm trying to remember. Somebody said it earlier. Honestly, I'm trying to look for it. I can't remember.
probably Corvo.
Probably. But anyway,
But-
the point being that
Yeah.
they were all essentially kind of black priests. They called themselves in a way. So like, I think they were practicing black magic, obviously. And that was they were, I forget the actual term that they utilized to describe themselves. But, yeah, they were, very much implicated in a lot of these mind control operations that were being conducted at the time. And yeah, he was definitely admitted black magician, no doubt. And Carrie Thornley, the individual who wrote
Barry
that,
was okay.
yeah. And Carrie Thornley, the individual who wrote that fictional narrative about Oswald a year before JFK's assassination, he also just so happens to implicate the Process Church in all of these various assassinations of the 1960s, including JFK and RFK. And yeah, it gets even crazier than that because you can kind of pull up these letters. But again, Adam Gorightly is not he's not really the most reliable source. But
Who?
Adam Gorightly. Look this dude up. He's entirely connected to the occult, right? And so not at all do I kind of bank on any sort of, as far as like use him as a viable resource that I rely upon. But he is an individual who claims, yeah, dude, directly connected to the occult. Glows like the
He
sun.
loves Charles Manson.
Fucking loves him, dude. But he has this dialogue with Carrie Thornley, and yeah, that makes sense, Dr. Corbo. That makes sense. Just for transparency, I appreciate it. It makes a lot of sense why you would have all this knowledge. but still, I appreciate you nonetheless. So it's very strange because this private dialogue that is kind of like as far as between Carrie Thornley and Adam Gorightly.
Look at the shit that he was like helping to put out, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%. No,
wild,
he actually like was helping with these art pieces that were essentially kind of promoting the process doctrine and especially Charles Manson's connection to it. Very interesting. But he's also connected to that. I forget specifically in what way, but I had bookmarked something about that at some point. And but yeah, so this dude, this FBI director, apparently there's a letter that Carrie mentioned sending to the FBI director, Clarence Kelly, about his belief that he was being monitored by some secret society of sorts with connections to U.S. intelligence, which was a sort of, apparently in this dialogue in page 1, Carrie has a reply to this letter that recounts a brush he had with the Process Church in New Orleans in 1967, when he'd returned there to appear before Jim Garrison's grand jury that was looking into the JFK assassination. So this person who took Carrie Thornley by the Process Church headquarters was an individual by the name of Slim Brooks, who was a shadowy character, apparently, according to Adam Gorightly, who he suspected had lured him unwittingly into a JFK assassination conspiracy. So then on the second page of this reply, Carrie connects Robert Anton Wilson with the process.
There you go.
Referring to an incident that occurred in 1975 at a place called the Celestial Mansion, where Carrie believed that Wilson and a group of clandestine intelligence agents, secret society adepts, met with him as part of some sort of debriefing regarding the JFK assassination. So it does seem like there is a direct affiliation, with the process, according to Carrie Thornley, who is still the individual who's implicating them in being involved in these assassinations in the 60s. He's claiming there's a direct correlation or connection to their involvement in the JFK assassination as well, which is just...
The process?
Yes.
Fuck,
Yeah.
man.
I know, man.
Add another entity to that list. I mean,
Add another one, which, by the way, Jack Ruby, right? You remember what happened to
Jack
him?
Rubenstein, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. What they call the kosher mafia. Okay. 100%.
It still exists, dude. It still exists.
No doubt. And it's crazy because Jim Mars talks about this, the author. He explains that after Ruby shot Oswald, there's a group of reporters. They go to Jack Ruby's apartment. They're rummaging around. Then a significant number of those people later die under mysterious circumstances. Like, dude,
You can't make
imagine.
that shit up, man.
Oswald, supposed to be transferred at 10 in the morning, still hadn't left by 11:30. The police didn't transfer him until Ruby was in position perfectly. Ruby dragging his heels because he was trying to get out of it. This is the story. The kosher nostra. Yeah, exactly.
No.
But so Ruby trying to get out of it. He's the mob's guy on the scene. He's allegedly the fixer. He's known he knew half the police department at the time. That's why they're all like, Jack, what the fuck? when he shoots Lee Harvey Oswald in the stomach. It's so crazy, man. He gets off the gut shot and they're like, what the fuck, Jack? Like, it's hilarious because they all personally know him. Now, Ruby, he was, of course, like I mentioned, the fixer, mob's guy on the scene, knowing half the police department, also knew the district attorney, because guess what? They all go to his fucking club and get free drinks at the time. All of it directly connecting into Heidi Reichen and the White House, the White House call girl, and the Watergate scenario, utilizing this mob interest, specifically propping up a CIA blackmail operation, which is what was going on, which is very interesting. But yeah, you look into
So what was her name again?
Heidi Reichen, the White House call girl.
She was just a honeypot, basically.
She's a honeypot.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, she was the mob's girl at the time.
Okay.
And was working for Joseph Nestline, I think was his name, something Nestline. And it's totally crazy. You go into that that narrative, and it will blow your mind, because once again you realize there's this direct connection in with first of all the JFK assassination, right? But let me actually pull that up, because it is worth mentioning briefly.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Because it does tie in Jack Ruby again, and obviously when you realize that there are these mob connections to Jack Ruby, you kind of it really just at a certain point it becomes undeniable. We have to basically, at least grapple with the fact that this is a reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just bring Jolly West up because I've heard about him out of other doctors that were a part of MK Ultra.
Oh yeah,
he seems to be the most popular one.
Oh yeah, and I'll continue on with his connection directly in with Jack Ruby as well.
Really?
But Heidi Reich, oh yeah, directly, dude. It's so nuts. So Heidi, and of course he's directly connected to, all these various individuals, not only Patty Hearst and and Charles Manson, but yeah, we can kind of trace this individual through, as well as the False Memory Syndrome Foundation in many ways. But Heidi Reichen and the White House call girl, her links to the JFK assassination, they came in the form of essentially she had all of these she had interactions with a number of figures linked to the assassination, and most of them are really like the key figures are Texas businessman Clint Murchison Jr., principal owner of the Dallas Cowboys and son of Clint Murchison Sr., Texas oil baron Joe Campisi, the owner of Campisi's Egyptian restaurant in Dallas, who reportedly hosted Jack Ruby, Lee Harvey Oswald, Dallas cop J.D. Tippit. Dude, Dallas cop J.D.
Egyptian restaurant?
Listen to this. So they had an actual... This is so crazy, brother. They hosted a dinner at the Egyptian, this is Campisi's Egyptian restaurant in Dallas. All right. And this is Joe Campisi, the owner and the Texas oil baron. All right. So they host this gathering, which reportedly involved not only Jack Ruby, but also Lee Harvey Oswald. Dallas cop J.D. Tippett, which Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly shot on his way to the theater on his getaway at the time that day after allegedly being the lone gunman, involved in the assassination. And and so this is all happening in November of 1963. And this dinner, of course, was all while apparently Clint Murchison Sr. is hosting another party for J. Edgar Hoover, Richard Nixon, H.L. Hunt, Fort Worth billionaire Sid Richardson, and Vice President Lyndon Johnson. So it's like you have the operators hosting a party, and all the as far as the really you have like kind of the puppet masters. They're hosting their own party. And then you have a parallel party being hosted by all the on-the-ground operators who are conducting the operation, not knowing that they will be hung out to dry in certain aspects of this clandestine black op, which is ultimately going to result in, the death of a president, obviously in Dallas.
Right.
It's just like noticing the individuals involved in these gatherings at the time in Dallas leading up. It's almost like they were celebrating what was about to take place.
Dude,
it's amazing. But Heidi's Black Book, it includes all these different phone numbers. One of them was for Fred Black, who's LBJ's neighbor and close friend of Bobby Baker, LBJ's financial advisor as well. And anyway, it gets entirely out of control when you realize that there's an escort service, obviously being set up by the mob as, essentially a cutout for domestic operations with the CIA for running sexual blackmail. It's essentially what they were doing. They were running human compromise. But yeah, to finish the points on Jack Ruby, my God, brother, it gets interesting because you begin to realize that, okay, not only is he the fixer, not only is he having all these individuals from, the police department and the district attorneys even coming and getting free drinks at his club, but he also had been the individual who had ran messages for Al Capone in Chicago as a child. And this dude, he was told by the mob that he had to shoot Oswald, essentially.
Dude, the mob is way more involved with this shit than 100%. I ever would think.
Yep.
But I mean, if you think about it, when they go and they make, someone like an official member, they do the induction or whatever. It's an occult ritual.
Oh yeah.
They break the finger with the candle and the card of the saint or whatever, and there's a sword. Like it's it's very. I don't know, man. Like that's never really talked about, so much. And then some of those people in La Cosa Nostra do go back to Venetian banking families. Yeah, it's wild how much this is all connected, man.
Dude, my God, it again. I'm like losing it. Honestly, there's a reason that we're called the Schizo Bros, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Schizo Bros, the symbol. Hey, let me grab this other.
Get it, bro.
Seltzer, bro.
Yeah, I need to take another drink anyway. Go ahead.
There you go. Well, hold on.
No problem, brother. Monica and I took a bathroom break earlier on a live stream, so it's all good.
Did he? Okay. I was making sure. I thought you were getting up. I don't know if you were getting up or not. I was like, I don't want to leave the audience sitting here.
No, I'm here, brother.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, guys, we're probably going to go. I mean, are you cool to go for another hour?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. We have so much left. I haven't even fucking mentioned.
Well, we haven't touched the Franklin cover up. We were talking about obviously Jolly West, but also you talked to me before the show about Michael Aquino and how the Temple of Set is connected. Maybe it was the Phoenix program that we were talking about earlier. But we can get to that.
Can Austin do another hour? Conspiracy Carpenter.
What's up, Conspiracy Carpenter? Good to see you, man.
I love this dude.
Let's see. Let's read some of these comments real fast. Mafia is a fraternal society. Sammy the Bull has revealed a lot of this. Yeah. I need to watch some more of his interviews. I remember when he got out of prison.
Oh, yeah. I saw, didn't his son, wasn't it Sammy the Bull's son who went on like Sean Atwood's podcast and was talking about a lot of the insider? I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
I think
now.
Sammy went on there because Sean Atwood used to work for him, right?
There you go. Yeah, he was running ecstasy. That was it.
Man,
yeah, that was it.
I remember when Sean Atwood, that dude glows super bright too, though. I don't know. What do you think?
I just now really discovered the fact that, yeah, as much as I thought for a second he was some sort of like reliable source.
My wife used to love him, and I like not too long ago I was like, yeah, that guy's a fan. Like,
something's going on, dude.
Babe. Yeah.
Something's going on. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense why they're of course they're in the UK, but still they're speaking in code all the fucking time. Like it's so weird. But
here we go, Corbo. St. Michael, blood oaths, Sicilian witchcraft. Yep.
Hell yeah. It's a reality, man. Again, this is something not at all I ever expected to become like, as far as adeptly understand, like to in this sort of way, be able to kind of like, I don't know. I still feel like a novice just trying to sift through a lot of this information. Think we all should, right? Because the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know shit. And you're just oh my God.
Yeah, once you say that you know something or you know everything, you really don't know shit. But yeah. I dude, after a few episodes I've had recently, man, yeah, when I look at a lot of these ancient stories that I try to interpret, it's like the Fallen or whatever, so much of it is symbolic, bro.
Oh my God.
Like it's fucking wild. I mean, I think there's many ways to interpret certain things like all at once,
Oh yeah. Even if it's there's a viable means to interpreting it in a symbolic way, I think that doesn't mean there's not a layered approach to this interpretation, right? Where there aren't some sort of like alternative agendas playing out, where it's not only a symbolist, like it's not only relying on symbolism, as far as like, right? Like, anyway, I think there are layers to the interpretation of most things, and it's not only as simple. I think most people attempt to oversimplify, and
well, yeah, but that's like the esoteric and the exoteric, right? It's like
exactly
the stuff that you see on the outside that you're shown, and then there's stuff that you have to, look a little harder at to be able to see it, or you have to understand, like you said, you got to understand symbolism. And I've been looking into occult symbolism for a minute now, and I still don't know shit. You know what I mean? So
hey, we got to talk about we have to talk about the 18th century hellfire clubs in a moment, just because of the deities, the occult deities that involve the philosophy in general, that lead into the sort of like ideological framework and indoctrination practices that they utilize to deceive us. But I'll finish this last point, at least kind of drawing in, at least tying in Jolly West to Jack Ruby in the JFK assassination, because it is super interesting and it's so fucking hilarious. What I mean, it shouldn't be, but it's damn funny. Like Jack Ruby's quote after he meets personally with Jolly West, And so the story goes that, Jack Ruby, he's running messages for Al Capone in Chicago as a child, which is just crazy. You know what I mean? It's like that reminds me of Ray Liotta. You know what I mean? In
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, right?
Yeah.
You're like, what is happening here? He's just being groomed into the business, right? And then he just ended up being a fucking retard that was running a bar, essentially. You know what I mean? Like a restaurant and a bar that had all these contacts, and they just utilized to put into some sort of scenario. There had to have at least been some sort of like mind control aspects to it. I'm not entirely certain. Maybe he was just in a bad spot where he was backed into a corner. He had no other choice. But I'm still trying to kind of figure that out, because here's what effectively took place. It's so nuts. He's told by the mob he has to shoot Oswald. He then, obviously, when Oswald's body was exhumed, the funeral home says this wasn't the same body they had buried. This is something I found crazy. The concrete vault had been shattered, and the body of Lee Harvey Oswald, which had been over embalmed by the funeral home to preserve it, was decomposed. Final note, dude. I'm telling you, after Jack Ruby was convicted of killing and shooting Lee Harvey Oswald in the spring of '64, our boy, a recurring character, known as Dr. Louis Jolyon West, most often referred to as Jolly West, widely known for his role in MK Ultra, conveniently inserts himself into the Jack Ruby case. Now, this is directly before he's going to testify to the Warren Commission, Jack Ruby, and Dr. Jolly inserts himself. He had never testified during his trial about why he killed Oswald, Jack Ruby. And the defense argument was that he had epilepsy. This is his defense. He had epilepsy, and that during an epileptic fit, Jack Ruby shot Oswald and had amnesia of the shooting. Could you imagine?
Wasn't it caught on video?
Oh yeah. You can pull it up. You can watch it right fucking now. And it's so nuts to actually imagine this being the defense that was put forward by his attorneys. But then, of course, Tom O'Neill, who many people, including Dana, has many problems with, which I'm so excited again to talk with her about this, because I'm with her, man. I'm skeptical of Tom O'Neill. I think that there's so much he didn't contend with or grapple with in regard to the Charles Manson narrative. So, I'm of the opinion that we cannot trust these sources that tend to be kind of spotlighted and propped up, even in the alternative media landscape. Even getting the Joe Rogan appearance, I'm fucking worried, man. Like, as much as I appreciate Joe Rogan, why are some of his episodes sponsored by Oracle? Why are these individuals like Ian Carroll and Candace Owens, like, seemingly directly implicated in these glowing networks of intelligence that like what was the organization that Candace Owens was specifically tied to that Jose and I were just talking about recently?
Was it Palantir? I don't know. Or is that
no? Boltzmann Booty brought it up. Shit, I can't remember. But it doesn't matter. The main point being that we cannot trust these people at face value. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, as much as I wish we could, there's something. It's very obvious that they're seemingly being, acting as gatekeepers for these really these new narratives that are forming in this alternative media landscape, and they're kind of like misdirecting the individuals who are fleeing into this area of interest, and that in itself is worth acknowledging and understanding, so you don't kind of fall into the trap as a victim to the disinformation. Because I don't know, there's something about, like, for me personally, when I watch any of their content, doesn't feel real to me.
It's not authentic. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I completely, I resonate with you 100%. Yeah, I don't even bother, to be honest with you,
That's what I'm saying, brother.
anymore.
Any
Yeah.
of it that I've been. Go ahead. Did you have something else?
No,
to
no,
say?
no, 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 no. I was
Anything that I've engaged with personally, I've kind of, it feels empty and hollow. There's no soul involved. As much as they want to behave like, oh, I'm passionate about these issues when they're speaking about them, it rings hollow and untrue to me, in many ways.
you
So
have discernment, dude.
yeah, it's impossible for me to kind of like,
I'd trust your gut if I were you.
thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Huh.
Because I swear I engage with any of Candace or Ian's content, and I want to run away, kicking and screaming like, fuck this. Like, this doesn't, who the fuck is engaging with this and like appreciating it? It makes no sense to me. And it feels like the inevitable result of their coverage is a misdirective tactic.
Right.
It's none of it seems to contend with reality. And that's by design, man. And I don't know, something about it. There's no way that they're not a contrived asset, right? And so anyway, the final point here with Jack Ruby, which is the most hilarious aspect of it, is that and again, right, remember,
Absolutely.
this concrete vault of Lee Harvey Oswald shattered, right? The body over embalmed, funeral home allegedly claiming it was to preserve it, but it's still decomposed. Now, Jack Ruby, of course, Jolyon West inserts himself, and conveniently, this is all before he was going to testify to the Warren Commission. And it turns out that author Tom O'Neill, who, again, someone I'm very skeptical of in many ways, he explains that Jolyon West, he decides that he's going to go to the Dallas County Jail in April of '64 in order to psychologically examine Jack Ruby in preparation for his next trial. And one of Jolly West's known techniques, learned throughout his research in the 50s, was how to induce insanity in a person without their awareness. Now, West goes on to examine Ruby and then emerges from the county jail with press waiting for him. And he announces that within the preceding 48 hours, Jack Ruby has had an acute psychotic break that was irrevocable. He couldn't return to sanity. He had audio and visual hallucinations, and during the exam, he said Jack Ruby hid under a table because he thought there were people in the room trying to kill him. He told Jolly West that he could hear Jewish children's screams outside his jail cell as they were boiled alive. He said,
repeat that.
okay. So he told Jolly West, Jack Ruby told Jolly West personally, that he could hear Jewish children's screams outside his jail cell as they were boiled alive.
What in the world?
Prior to Jolly West's examination, there had been no evidence of Jack Ruby being mentally ill. West was alone with him in the cell, then treated him for the next 6 months And by the time Jack Ruby finally gave his testimony to the Warren Commission, he was reportedly babbling and incoherent. He grabbed the investigator for the Warren Commission named Arlen Specter and said, "Don't you know they're killing Jews?
Dude,
I can hear them being tortured outside my cell. They've killed my brother and cut off his legs." They couldn't use anything from Jack Ruby's testimony to the Warren Commission.
that fucking I'm
Isn't
still
that insane?
very puzzled over how Jewish children sound, and I don't know.
Right?
But it makes sense that he would go in there and then come back out and guys cook
Having an acute psychotic break with
Yeah.
reality. Yeah.
in so many words. Yeah.
It's honestly it's something that I think is one of the most valuable aspects of Tom O'Neill's work with, his Chaos book, which I do think is very valuable in many ways, as much as it misses the point in certain aspects. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think that unfortunately that's by design, brother. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, once we start to realize that, of course, you have obviously when I mentioned Jolly West and his implication to Jack Ruby there, I think it's important because it goes to show, as far as like these mind control these mind control programs, that not only is it MK Ultra, but as I mentioned, the Phoenix program, they're effectively torturing individuals with the means and the kind of the overarching agenda being trauma-based mind control. So you have, like I had mentioned before, this kind of like bestiality aspect that's driven into these individual victims that create these alters in the DID concept and framework. And that in itself always reminds me of, as I said, the individuals in the Mark Dutroux network carrying around the Scarlet Snake, same as the Python Cowboy. But all of this falls into Michael Aquino's concept of the mind war, which, again, Michael Aquino, perfect example of another organization within the occult framework, directly kind of involving this esoteric ideology of kind of a systematic esoteric ideology, a new age that's intended to subvert individuals, psychological framework in many ways, but also introduce this kind of really sex magic, in many ways, which is what they refer to it as, but it's also very much seemingly,
He was just following the work of Crowley.
yeah, that's what they were doing. Yeah.
When you look at Set, the main adversary from ancient Egypt, my co-host Adrian thinks that Set is one of, the main deity being prayed to as far as a Satan goes, right? And so even though Satan worship is really the worship of one's lower nature, this guy is not only, the high priest of the Temple of Set, but he's he's a general in the US military.
Right. Yeah. Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, Obviously, whenever I covered the mind war, when I was researching Omar Mateen and the Pulse nightclub shooting, that's when I really kind of discovered from PSYOP to Mind War, the Psychology of Victory, which was co-authored by Major General Paul Vallely with Lieutenant Colonel Military Intelligence Michael Aquino, who was PSYOP research and analysis team leader at the time, former high-ranking member of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, and notorious founder of the Temple of Set. And of course, the introduction of the book, which he provided in November of 2003, it stated that in the early 1970s, psychological operations, PSYOP doctrine in the U.S., in the U.S. Army, had yet to emerge from the disappointment and frustration of the Vietnam War. Thus, it was that in 1980, Colonel Paul Vallely, commander of the 7th PSYOP Group, asked me, as his headquarters PSYOP research and analysis team leader, to draft a paper that would encourage some future thought within the PSYOP community. He did not want a Vietnam postmortem, but rather some fresh and innovative ideas concerning PSYOP's evolution and application. I prepared an initial draft, which Colonel Vallely reviewed and annotated, which resulted in revised drafts and critiques until he was satisfied. And the result of that was this paper, From PSYOP to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory. Colonel Vallely sent copies of it to various governmental offices, agencies, commands, and publications involved or interested in PSYOP. He intended it not as an article for publication, but simply as a talking paper to stimulate dialogue. In this, it was quite successful, judging by the extensive and lively letters he received concerning it over the next several months. Now, here's where it gets very interesting, because Major Gregory Cease, educational psychologist serving as the chief of the PSYOP training branch of the JFK Special Warfare Center and School's Directorate of Training and Doctrine, which obviously notable connections to the September 11th attacks, state-sponsored 93 World Trade Center bombing, murder of Rabbi Meir Kahane, El Said Nosser, one of the Blind Cheeks men, arrested for the murder in 1991. And you have dozens of Arabic bomb-making manuals with documents related to terrorist plots found in Nosser's New Jersey apartment, manuals from the U.S. Army JFK Special Warfare Center and School, SWCS, SWICS, known informally, and at Fort Bragg, of course, North Carolina. Secret memos linked to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and 1,440 rounds of ammunition were also found in Nosser's apartment. Now, it's crazy to me, because you begin to realize that apparently Major Gregory Cease, U.S. Army Psychological Operations Officer, currently serving as the PSYOP Division Chief in the U.S. Army Special Operations Command at the time, G39, also happened to write the foreword to Michael Aquino's paper, Mind War. And it begins with a quote from John Milton's Paradise Lost. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Cease proceeds by attempting to put into justifiable terms the mission and motivation behind Mind War. And he explains that the concept of Mind War represents a holistic, proactive approach to psychological operations, rather than the traditional reactionary role to which has been relegated. And he goes into how it needs to focus on emerging and anticipating problems, situations, and conditions affecting the information environment, not only to manage the perceptions of groups and individuals, but to address the conditions and situations that fuel discontent and drive instability. Like, so much of this is just exactly within the framework of how you psychologically manipulate and control, you know, right? Like the public at large, you know what I mean? And this is something that, yeah, we should discuss Franklin soon. I'm sorry. But
Oh, hey, no, you're fine, dude. You're fine.
no, I'm only mentioning this because when you realize that all of this is implicated in the reality of, the mind war playing out in these phases, right? These practical outcomes where they kind of diagnose the disease and prescribe the cure. It's problem reaction solution, right? All at the same time. And you're dealing with these kind of a wide variety of old concepts consistently pursued throughout the mind war mission. And so you have propaganda, which is considered to be sort of like the general parameters discussed, even referencing something called beyond propaganda and what's referred to as the influence continuum. And so you have like a phase where it's called pre-mind war, mind control. And these attempts are spoken of subsequently leading into a small section dedicated to MK Delta, MK Ultra, Project Stargate, ESP, and Project Jedi, which all fall into this, right? This occult ideological framework and these various methods of subliminal and voluntary, it's really what amounts to psychological control and psych control. And they even list numerologically Psychon 1 and Psychon 2 being brainwave resonance, Psychon 3 and transcranial magnetic stimulation, magnetic reconnection portals, atmospheric ionization, hypnotism, magic, and the phenomenon of religion in the context of something called internal religion psyop or internal religious psyop and the Army Chaplain Corps, which all play a prominent role in the concept of the mind war. So they have a section dedicated to magic and a spoonful of sugar is what it's called. A spoonful of sugar.
Fucking Mary
Right?
Poppins.
Exactly. And so part 3, they introduce the campaign, starting with paramilitary operations under the guise of intelligence, emotion arousing violence, false flags, and the degradation of the individual. So there you go. That's the concept of the mind war. And if you remember, when I covered this with Omar Mateen in the Pulse nightclub, I started that by saying the unethical aims of our ruling class have been extensively documented. And man, I believe that till the day I die at this moment. Like, all you have to do is look. It's out there. You have to be willing to look for it. You can discover the reality of this situation that we're in, And yeah.
Yeah, he said Set sodomized Horus. Was
Horus.
that before or after he took his eye?
Man, that would be
What the-
so interesting to find out that actual the way that played out as far as the theological aspect of kind of the occult framework, because that yeah, it's very interesting to me, considering how much of these interesting deities from the neo-pagan, they're obviously overtly satanic, but still, not only are they overtly satanic, but they're still neo-pagan in nature in many ways, right? And as far as their ideological framework, worshiping these various occult deities, like we had mentioned Bacchus and the Feast of Venus that I brought up, right? Yeah. Exactly. And
which is related to Sin, the moon god Sin. Yeah. Who the forefront of Islam, basically.
There you go. Yeah, and of course you already know Bacchus is Dionysus.
Yeah.
And obviously you have like this is crazy to me. This dilettante. Hold on, let me get this right.
No, you're good. Dude.
Dilettante Society, which I don't know exactly if that's how you pronounce it, but apparently, according to Simon Dovey, right, from the Eye of the Chicken Hawk, who put together a shitload of different references for his work on the hotstar.net. He was the one who kind of introduced me to these 18th century hellfire clubs that in their philosophical framework. And that's what really blew my mind as far as the esoteric aspects of these mystery cults, in which obviously you have these original secret societies, which, really kind of promoted the concept of Western civilization. And you're talking about Ionian antiquities of 1769, like tracing this back to really the foundation, of the West to begin with. And so you have that directly running into, really, as I had mentioned before, you have this myth that's being provided from the prophet Orpheus, right? This Greek poet. And according to the Roman poet historian Ovid, was credited with being the first ever pederast, right?
Mhm.
It is after Orpheus the Orphic mysteries are named, and the cult of Dionysus perpetuated itself into the Roman era under the god Bacchus, Dionysus, and festival Bacchanalia, right? And so that's like they're one and the same at a certain point, right? But they all are legitimately, they're all involved, at least in part, with these child orgies, and child ritual sacrifices.
Well, when you get into the Orphic mysteries, you get into the primordial egg, right?
Exactly.
All this egg symbolism. Fucking KFC just built a golden egg, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, man.
Brother.
No, you can find similarities in all of these ancient mystery schools. Somebody said up here, it's all Kabbalistic. Maybe it was Alex. And yeah, that as well. You find Kabbalah mysticism in almost every single one.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you have this kind of ritual playing out in the occult lore itself, where Dionysus, worshipped by these different groups, of course, but among the followers of Orpheus, there's a sect called the Maenads. This elusive god apparently worshipped an idol of a goat or a bull. Now, worship of Dionysus in these two forms, that of a goat or a bull, at times involved the ritual sacrifice and cannibalism of children. Now, the animal was substituted for a child. Obviously, how many instances of this, it's hard to gauge, but it's clearly based on how you practice this belief system and based on the myth. Orpheus apparently eventually killed by these Maenads. They tore him to pieces during a possession orgy where they drink his blood and eat his flesh. And the cult of Dionysus, eventually outlawed by the Roman Senate. They have theories that the cult persisted underground among those that, integrated into the cult of Mithras.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is so nuts to me.
Mithras, they would go underground to do their rituals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're a military cult at the time involved with Rome. And so it's just like military intelligence from day one is really what that kind of like stems from.
Dude.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, man.
So I don't know, like once you start to realize that you have this, remember I had mentioned the myth of the Minotaur, that I had wanted to discuss for a moment. Apparently, you had the Minotaur myth, obviously about a labyrinth located somewhere within, as I mentioned, Crete, right? This all stems back with the Iliad and the Odyssey in many ways, this epic, and
Yeah.
the reenactment of the original repeated, creating an echo through space and time, 100%.
Yeah, and I
But the
talked about
Minoan account of Gilgamesh, right, which to them was Theseus, apparently. He slays a minotaur, a bull, possibly Moloch. The labyrinth itself refers to the administrative buildings located in Knossos, known to have been built with many rooms, anterooms, narrowing, winding corridors connecting them all in maze-like architecture. And you look at the symbology of all of this. The term labyrinth itself, I mean, apparently it refers to a double-sided axe used by Cretan priestesses for ceremonial purposes. And it just really honestly, it ties back to this strange archetype of the mother goddess and this Minoan pantheon.
Yeah.
It honestly, man, the mistress of the labyrinth is what they refer to Potnia as. And I had mentioned her as well. And Potnia of the labyrinth, right? Which again, the Minotaur could be taken as Potnia's bull. And so it's her labyrinth, but still, you have to sacrifice a certain number of virgins, to the Minotaur, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the depictions of animals in these mythologies may be symbolic as well. We talked about on Already Dead, I think, how the Minotaur is just a later, just like what Corvo just said, the reenactment of the original. It's a later description of the Assyrian man bull, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Who had, I think, wings too. So yeah, man, composite creatures. And yeah, dude. But also that you had mentioned the goat, the bull. I mean, it's used as a phallic symbol as well. A lot of this stuff is. But that's funny that you brought up Moloch and Baal, because you talking about cannibals and all that.
Right.
Yeah, dude. No, this it's crazy because we talk about this on Already Dead too.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that with y'all.
I'm telling you right now, buddy, there is definitely some sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out exactly how much I can conceptualize the occult ideologies playing out and the differences, which are very difficult to kind of distinguish between, because they're so like, they're ever changing as far as like where they kind of resurface in regards to these organizations and how they're practicing these principles. But still, if we kind of want to seamlessly tie in Franklin to a lot of this, then we can easily do that. It's not too difficult. All you have to do is kind of like bring up the story of Johnny Gosh, because that alone ties directly into what I've mentioned many times as the paperboy fetish that was being pursued and facilitated through, various child trafficking organizations at the time that all seemed to fall perfectly within this well-established pedophile underground that tied together not only Johnny Gosh and his abduction, but Jacob Wetterling, who was another one who seemed to have been really the consequential collateral damage of the failure of the Johnny Gosh abduction, which is very interesting.
Paul Benassi as well, right?
Yeah, Paul Benassi.
I was gonna bring this up real fast. Whenever you want, we can watch this little video I found on Twitter, because I figured we weren't gonna watch it on YouTube. But
what did they say? No, Noreen Gosh. Yeah, I've heard this many times. Noreen Gosh is sus for sure. She definitely insists that right, Johnny came to visit her, which is one of the most extraordinary claims. But hey, whenever I listen to her, I'm not entirely certain what to make of it. To be
there's
honest,
something off with the parents of these
Yeah.
kids, dude. Always.
Jacob Wetterling's father was a part of the reason he was sacrificed. So it goes to show that whoever was involved in procuring the paperboy fetish at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I think the parents were deliberately involved. And if you go to what's her name? One of the most infamous child abductions. Damn it.
Who?
You know who I'm talking about. It's one of the most
Casey Anthony?
No. The one from Colorado.
I don't
Who
know.
had like very wealthy
John
well-to-do-
Benet Ramsey.
John Benet Ramsey. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, her parents directly
Super
implicated.
sketchy.
Yeah, directly
Absolutely. Her
implicated in
fucking
this.
dad,
Mm-hmm.
which just really makes you it makes me sick to my fucking stomach.
Mm-hmm.
But here, let's why it's like a 2-minute.
We have us chase him down. They told us when we chase him, we chase him down, we're supposed to chase him down, and then we're supposed to drag him back. What did you do, knock him down, or what? Knocked him down and drag him back up to where the cage is at and stuff. How did you drag him? I grabbed his legs and then he grabbed his arms and just sort of
That's what I'm saying.
kind of carried him back up and kind of dragged him over. Was he kicking, screaming? He was kicking and screaming. And what was he saying? Saying, please don't hurt me. You didn't hear him call? You heard him call? What'd you do to him, Paul? Huh? I did what you told me to do. What did you do, Paul? I said so. Did you do this or we kill you too? Do what, Paul? Do what? Scream again. They say scream because they won't have the necklace from the kids in them. You know? Something that telling me that. That's money that came in. You didn't know about it. The Nicholas didn't know what was going to go on next.
Yep.
This guy came in and started kicking the shit out of Nicholas, and they started trying to kick the shit out of me. And he took me and Nicholas and shoved us in the cage. They took this kid and he sat there and sat him up. Sat him up? Right next to the cage, and then they shot him. For what? Shot him. Shot him in his head. Crying so much after they did it, they opened the cage, they grabbed Nicholas, and they scared me to death. They took him and they drug him over in the woods and stuff. I heard a couple of shots.
All of these claims of children hunting have reported to have happened in the 1980s. Who knows what still goes
Yeah, who knows, right?
Brother. Yeah, I watched that. He's talking to Gary Caradori at the time. It's one of the most. I played a section of that.
Dude.
Yeah.
When he talks about what they had to do to that with that one little boy with his member.
Dude,
that was one of the first things I saw looking into the Franklin scandal, and that's when I was like, oh my God, like these people are sick fucks, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And poor guy, to be honest with you. I mean, you're doing that against your will. You know, you have no say, so you don't want to lose your life.
That's why I hate to use him as an example of like, oh, they victimized and abused this kid and then turned him out as a procurer to help procure other victims in the network. And then he's sitting there reaping the inevitable consequences spiritually to what happens to you when you're part of something like that. Like that alone, not only are you victimized and abused, but that's why I struggle using him as an example to kind of like prop up in parallel to Virginia Guffrey, this weird story of her getting hit by a bus and shit. It's like I don't see her in any way as being like even I don't know. It's just my mind. It's hard for me to conceptualize that Paul Benassi and her are on the same level. In my mind, like I feel like it's terrible to say, but I feel like she was better off in her network of abuse than Paul Benassi was, no doubt in my mind. And he himself, I remember when I did the witch hunt narrative, just like covering that with kind of the McMartin connection as well. Paul Benassi came up in that, of course, because Michael Aquino inherently surfaces. And
really,
now, Benassi himself says he was a victim of monarch mind control, right? And so he claims that obviously he was involved in the abduction of Johnny Gosch. And in May of 98, it was Dave McGowan who explained that one of the names raised at the Paul Benassi trial was Michael Aquino's.
Get the fuck out.
I'm not playing.
By Paul?
By Paul. There's footage of it, dude.
Holy shit.
He's in a fucking orange jumpsuit talking to the prosecutors. And Aquino, he basically says he accuses Aquino in court, and as well as this is where Noreen Gosch plays a role, because she also does. She as well claims that he's a key player in this nationwide pedophile operation, which I believe her. I mean, I'm at this point, Michael Aquino surfaces in all of this beyond the Presidio, beyond the West Point, right? It's still Franklin, the Finders, like Dutro. Like how many do we need him to resurface in before we directly connect him back to this clearly this pedophile operation of child trafficking and abuse?
I didn't know he was involved with Mark Dutro.
So crazy, man.
Wait, you're telling me that Aquino was involved in Belgium?
He was at the Pink Ballets, dude.
The fuck, man.
On peacekeeping missions for NATO and the UN. Not fucking with you.
Is he still alive?
He goes to Belgium. And Michael Aquino?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest. We should look that up.
I know that Lawrence King is. And
Lawrence King, that motherfucker showing up.
He shouldn't be alive.
Dude, no shit. Which, by the way, NDS just had on Nick Bryant. Big get, brother. Nick Bryant's the fucking man. And Nephilim Death Squad just had him on.
Oh, shit.
So, anyway. Very, very, very important to...
he died back in 2019.
Did he?
Aquino did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't too long ago, though. But, I wasn't quite sure. I couldn't remember. I know that Larry King definitely, Nick Bryant just been following his ass around, warning all these organizations like, hey, this guy's a fucking pederast. What's a pederast, Walter? Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
It was Paul that said that he saw Hunter S. Thompson there, right?
Oh, dude. Hunter S. Thompson.
Which breaks my fucking heart. But
I know, man. He's tied to the Esalen Institute. Even his ties to the Hells Angels with that book of him just like talking about these gang rapes and shit. Like, yeah, I was there.
He had no problem with it either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved this stuff when I was a kid, but as I got older and started really I was like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
You know,
I'm with you, buddy. And I have his books too. And
him and Johnny Depp hanging out because Johnny Depp played him in Fear and Loathing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you see Johnny Depp with the
8-year-old
West Memphis 3 with Damien Eccles and shit, dude. Like in 100%. A band with him. right?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, tied to what was that nightclub that River Phoenix died outside of?
Get the fuck, yeah, dude. You're right.
Hey, bud.
Oh
This
man,
is all
R.I.P. River
connected,
Phoenix,
brother.
dude.
I'm
No
telling you
wonder
right now.
Joaquin Phoenix is so fucked up,
Yeah, I know.
dude. Yeah, yeah,
As
man.
much as I love that movie that he did with Paul Thomas Anderson, one of my all-time favorite directors, top 3 probably of all time, Paul Thomas Anderson. He directed a movie called The Master with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman before he died.
He was
And
another great actor, dude.
so good, dude.
God,
Philip Seymour Hoffman basically played L. Ron Hubbard in this movie. I'm telling you right now, it's not named. The end of it. It's such a good movie though, and Joaquin
I have to
Phoenix
check it out.
plays this alcoholic, like he's a strange psychopath. But yeah, such a fucking good movie. But anyway, it's one of those that are like, what am I watching here? But that's what Paul Thomas Anderson does. But I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. But anyway, so Aquino, obviously he's accused not only by Paul Bonacci, but Paul Bonacci himself. He positively identifies Aquino as an associate of Lawrence King, known to the children only as the Colonel. And King's personal blackmail photographer, Rusty Nelson, he identified Michael Aquino as the man to whom he saw King hand over a suitcase of cash and bonds. The blackmail photographer, Rusty Nelson, also had said that King told him that Aquino was part of the Contra guns and cocaine trafficking operation run by George Bush and another notorious Lieutenant Colonel, Oliver North. So
Dude.
You're tying in Danny Castellero's Octopus directly into what we've effectively been sort of tying into in general. This occult underground with the heavy connection to the pedophile underground as well, which again, all of this ties into the Odyssey Foundation, the Delta, it's so crazy. Like it's so much of it. It's just like, not only is it targeted assassinations and serial killers and right, it's obviously also mind control techniques. And
Dude, you need to write a fucking history book. A parapolitical like, I don't know what you want to call it, man, but dude, I mean, it would be a heater, bro. Like,
thank you, brother.
I don't think you understand, because nobody is taught this shit, and barely anybody that I've seen in recent years, at least, gets into it as much as you do. See, Corbo said do it. I think you should write a book. Just my personal opinion. I think it'd be a fucking banger, bro.
Thank you, man.
We need to, dude. Next episode we need to do more of these. Me and you.
Dude, we're 3 hours in. I haven't even really discussed what we're supposed to. I have so much shit pulled up. It's insane. And it's probably the reason why I go so schizo. But
I do the same.
There's too much to connect, my friend. There's too much.
I know there is.
And as it all, obviously, that when you begin to realize, I'm just kind of, I don't know, at a certain point, I'm doing this for myself because I'm trying to create that conceptual outline, as I've mentioned before, that is a fundamental framework I can kind of work with, that feels like I have an understanding of this paradigm. Is we're in the midst of something that feels unprecedented. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like it's the accumulation of these various agenda items all kind of merging into a dystopian reality that you have to be plugged in enough to be aware enough to even acknowledge it, right? Otherwise, you fall victim to the predetermined outcome. You know, the trap that's perfectly been set into place that restricts you psychologically into this, again, like this inability to kind of truly honestly engage with the reality that we're honestly kind of like, at this point, man, I'm in a place where I need to understand, the distinction, how to distinguish between, who our common enemy is and the political puppets. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, myself, I'm only attempting to kind of like form that, really kind of like manufacture that ability, if only to, create the defense mechanism that I can rely upon, to where I don't fall victim to that propaganda as it falls, conveniently into our lap, playing into a preconceived bias. I'm so desperate to break out of this psychological structure, this socially engineered, mind controlled, what's the term, where you again, I continue to forget this term recently for no reason whatsoever, but where you begin to, kind of romanticize and fall in line with your captors, right? What is the term?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. One nation under Stockholm syndrome. We're in an unfortunate, unprecedented
Be the
reality.
name of your book, dude.
Yeah, it's true, dude. That would be perfect. It would be, but I don't know. We could talk forever, my friend. Honestly, there's so much we could talk about. And
I'm down, Corvo.
what did he say? Come to the Ozarks and take mushrooms. The Ozarks, hey, that's where I'm from, brother. With the witch doctors. That's hilarious. Nah, man. Again, we're just in a place where we better be able to kind of acknowledge the common enemy for our own well-being and the outcome of our personal family dynamic, because I don't want to have them affected by this diabolical agenda that is truly playing out in real time, and many people are embracing it as a plausible solution to the but in reality we're kind of embracing the dystopian pivot, as I've said before. So,
in my eyes, dude, most of these people on the world stage are compromised.
Yeah.
If not all of them.
Seems that way.
I mean, the ones that aren't like shut down or censored too much, like why wouldn't Ian Carroll say David McGowan's name? He cited him.
He couldn't summon the courage to mention the motherfucker's name. Like, why would you not attempt to? And I feel bad personally just because I did an episode with Monica and I forgot to mention Dana's name. Just because she's done so much valuable research on the subject, and that's only due to the fact that I've been exposed to the reality of what's available out there and who should be kind of spotlighted in their valuable research. But yeah, the idea that you could go on Rogan and just in that context, which, by the way, just the way I get it, but the way he framed Whitney Webb's research on technocracy, I'm sorry, man. Even in the terminology he utilized, I understand the context if you're listening to it and watching it. But to use the term unhinged when she's actually addressing the reality we're facing, right? It's like, what is unhinged about and another reason why I believe the black pill term is being utilized as a pejorative to dismiss and undermine any sort of dissenting opinion at this moment. It's the new conspiracy theorist. And anybody utilizing that term as a tool to dismiss what you are saying, be skeptical, man. You know what I mean? And that's by design, right? And so in my mind, we just have to continue, push forward, unabated, unrelenting. We're going to discover the truth for ourselves, whether we get banned and censored, whatever the case may be, whatever the consequences become. As I said in my original episode, day one, it was like this podcast, this show is for, anyone who is willing to pursue the truth no matter the consequence. Right? And it's like, man, I don't care what that looks like at a certain point, because it's up to us to make some sort of headway in terms of just unmasking, kind of the diabolical agendas playing out, but also, again, just kind of like embrace the reality of the fact that if it weren't for kind of like these, individual independent journalists who are willing to pursue the truth in this way, then yeah, we wouldn't even have some sort of framework to begin with, to work with in a fundamental way, to pursue that objective truth, So I don't know. At a certain point, what are we seeing here? What is happening?
What?
No, I'm just
the comment.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, we're entering a phase that is very much unprecedented in terms of manipulating public perception. So again, we just need to continue on the path that we are currently on, I think, right? And ultimately we'll end up in the right place as far as our conclusion is concerned. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, Alex Jones played a big part. Man, Alex Jones, I feel, is so compromised. Mr.
Fucking Ozempic.
Mr. Ozempic Jones.
If that's even him,
I'm very
right?
concerned.
If that's even him, dude. Well, dude, we have to do. Thank you. I don't want to butcher your name. Yves.
Well, that's our boy.
Who?
That's our boy. I don't want to out him, but he hangs out in the private chat, I'm pretty sure, on After Already Dead sometimes.
Hey,
but that's one of our boys that we talk to often.
Not Bobo.
One of them. I won't out him. I promised him I wouldn't, because he told me on Instagram not to.
Know.
Hey, man, stop it, Jules. Damn it.
What? I saw a woman. I was like,
I'm just playing with you. No, I know. It throws you off a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I wasn't at all. I just kind of like, I showed up having a fun conversation with my brother. There's so much more we can talk about. And I basically was just like embracing the casual opportunity of just enjoying this conversation.
Yeah,
but
dude, whenever you want to come on and talk about stuff, you're always welcome on, man.
Dude, I can actually chart a more conceptual, course through these various avenues of interest, but I don't know.
Believe
Today
it or
I've
not,
actually
learned stuff tonight. So
did you?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you want me to say?
You answered a lot of my questions, especially about Gladio. It makes me understand it a lot more, because you and Jose say Gladio at least 100 fucking times every already dead episode, and I'm just like over here still don't know what it fully is. But
Dude,
I'm glad we changed that.
Just tell me to come back. Give me another fucking date, brother, and I'll be here. Because again, like we'll have even more of I think a well-rounded and organized conversation. Today I was just kind of all over the place. It was sort of the nature of what I was doing with Monica this morning,
Well,
but
yeah,
also
you went on her show earlier, bro. I mean, dude, look, I worked about 10 hours today, so we just shooting the shit, hanging out. You're probably one of the my most favorite people to talk to.
Thank you, brother. I fucking love you, man. And
Love you too,
honestly,
man.
you're my fucking brother, right? Like if
I know.
you can ask me anytime. You and the lady, you guys want to come out to LA for a moment or whatever, do whatever, hit me up. You know you got a place to stay for free. Like honestly, for a fact. So
Yeah, dude. We're gonna have to plan a meetup soon. I don't know.
we got to do something, even if it's just like we all meet up at Bohemian Grove. I'm totally down to try and do that if we can make that happen. Something.
Well,
Like I'm even
like in the future, like maybe a West Coast one. So
that would be
I know
super
it's
cool.
closer to you, but actually no, the next one, Top said the next one they're gonna do is in Kentucky.
Interesting.
I think at a restaurant.
Interesting.
That's wherever I forgot her name, but one of the dangerous retards owns
the dangerous retards.
One of them owns a restaurant, I think. So
I love it.
They're going to
hey, somebody
Alex.
just brought up James Corbett. James Corbett's the fucking man. He's like the gold standard conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
That dude, you honestly, he did I remember he did a requiem for what was it? A requiem for a suicided shit, dude. What was the term the name of the shit? I'm trying to remember, but it was for a requiem for a suicided it was for Terrence Yakey and Kenny Trinidad, right? And he did a whole series essentially. Well, at least a couple of special episodes that were dedicated to their stories. And I remember that kind of introduced me into that concept.
Yeah.
And then later on, I realized that after a matter of time that, of course, Richard Booth went on with Jose, and they had an awesome series on it as well. But yeah, James Corbett, he absolutely murdered it. If you want to watch like an hour-long episode that kind of puts together a lot of the resources and materials that make the case for Terrence Yakey, and sort of obviously the suicided aspect of clearly they were murdered, but the whole notion of suicided is that it was the goal was to kind of frame it as a suicide, and he kind of paints that in the perfect, really in a very, very, Requiem for the Suicide. That's what it's called, but I forget. It's like Requiem for the Suicided Terrence.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, they're both very good, and they're less than an hour, and they really kind of pack a punch. It's very important.
I've heard of James Corbett before, but
yep,
I've just
he's
in passing,
amazing,
somebody's brought him up. May have even been you.
Dude.
And Ryan Christian. Yeah, I've heard of Ryan too.
Oh, Ryan Christian's he does The Last American Vagabond. So
yeah.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful publication. They've all been kind of doing they've been uniting these independent journalists like Derek Bros and these various types of individuals who are kind of coming together to provide what everyone seems to be calling the black pill, but in reality seems to be the truth which is
The
just
gray pill.
exposing the technocracy. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It's like you don't have to be black pilled or necessarily even white pilled, even though I
You can
do
gray
think,
pill.
yeah, that's why gray pilled is the perfect term, because it's not about that. You always need to maintain this sort of hopeful optimism just for life in general. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? But beyond that, it's like to kind of like, I don't know. It just to embrace that term in general is just such a mistake to me. And so as far as the black pill is concerned, so I do
Yeah, but you
believe
don't want to be
that
too white pilled and be just oblivious
you
to
can't have
all the,
no,
the horrible
no,
shit happening. I mean, you could be,
right. But you can't have this sort of hopium, this false hope, which is
copium. Yeah.
which is in reality just a way to placate the revolutionary class, whether it's psychologically or physically. It's
Yeah.
like we're never going to pose a legitimate threat if we're embracing these terms, their terms, right?
Right.
Which we have to essentially break free from this structure and manufacture our own terms at a
I
certain
didn't hear
point.
anyone fucking say gray pill. Wasn't like anyone, dude. I literally thought of white pill and black pill,
Yeah.
gray pill.
It's perfect, man.
And at the time, it's how I was feeling. So I was like, well, yeah, well, this name fucks. So
Dude,
I hope people like it.
I am too exhausted, brother. I'm so tired. I don't know how
Yeah,
the fuck
no,
I've done
I'm
3 hours and 20 minutes.
I feel like I'm putting you to work now. I feel like I'm making you talk.
No,
So,
you're good, brother.
Austin, this was fucking real, dude. This was a blast. Like I
hope
said,
so.
I want to
feel
do
fucking
more of these with
retarded. I'm
you.
trying. I'm doing my best. I feel absolutely retarded. I had so many other points I had hoped to have made, made by this moment.
Dude,
but at the same time, yeah,
I may have to add a couple other things to the episode as far as the description and
it's the way of the
but
world.
we covered, like I said, we covered about everything that I wanted to cover in the amount of time that we did.
It wasn't clear on Monica's show. Fuck you, man. As much as I love you and you're my boy. I'm sure it wasn't fucking clear.
Leave him alone, dude.
Yeah, I'm
Leave
telling
him
you, man.
alone.
Like I almost did 3 hours on her show, and I'm like,
man,
shit, I
it's
haven't
about
even
6 hours for you today, dude. My head would be,
That's why
I'd
I
be
told
fucking.
Jose. Jose hit me up. He's like, "Why aren't you doing a morning stream this morning? Like, you could just make that into." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I don't want to be streaming all day long."
Oh yeah,
Like,
you would have been done for by the time you got here.
Yeah.
I mean, I did an 8-hour stream for my 1 year anniversary, and I mean, the only way I could have done that, in which I did, was like get drunk, right?
Right.
It was fun. It was hilarious.
Dude, I
and,
wish I was there, man. Like
I
that.
know. It was,
I'm dead serious.
it
As
was
much as
almost
people say
perfect, but you and Jose weren't there.
it would have been. It would
but-
have been. I'm glad people like this because I was just out of my element, being retarded, hanging out with the
Well,
homies. So
Next time we'll have like more of an idea of what we're going to be talking about, as far as like, we can make an outline for a show. I'll have videos and stuff that we can pull up or something. We'll talk about it. But
Cool.
This was fun, dude. This was real
I
fun.
had a blast, brother.
Do you want to let people know where to find you?
Yeah, for sure, man. Everybody, the Underclass Podcast, pretty much the best place. All audio streaming platforms. The really, I would say the best place to support me financially is the Patreon, because at least you have an incentive there. Oh, even with the lowest level of $3 a month, and you can get the whatever this is paywalled premium content show that I'm doing with Brad Bankley and Sam Tripoli, and that's been again, man, he's my fucked up guardian angel. I swear, like that's how I describe him.
Sam's awesome, man.
Yeah, that dude has he just has the man. He's got kind of anytime you come across someone who just kind of behaves in that way, where they have a heart of gold and they're willing to kind of just genuinely go out of their way to spotlight your work and promote you and it's just the best kind of person. And I'm not trying to say that in a selfish way, but
You're
it's
just
beautiful.
glazing Sam.
I do. I glaze him all the time, man. I love him to death, you know, and for someone who opened the door for me, I have to appreciate him.
Yeah,
because
well, he's a
it did me
pioneer
well.
of this whole thing, you know.
100%. He's one of the. You're absolutely correct in that. You know, he was in here in its infancy, and the fact that, and it's not that I appreciate more than anything. It's that he's a genuine person.
He
You know
is.
what I mean?
You can feel that when talking to him.
Yeah.
Very authentic.
And he resonates with your authenticity.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that is beautiful. There's something
You
about
don't get
that.
a lot, you know.
No.
Yeah.
It's a part of the divine path, I swear. It's a part of that beautiful the strange synchronicities that seem to be aligning perfectly in a way that really, honestly, man. Anyway, I'll stop glazing the motherfucker, but I do love him, and I swear it's just ultimately I'm just overwhelmingly grateful for all the opportunities that I continually receive, including this and including the opportunities you give me, Jules, because it's not just that you're my boy and I love you, man. It's I have fun having these conversations with you, man. You know what I mean?
Genuinely,
And
that's what it is.
yeah. Otherwise, kind of like workshopping these ideas alone, shit, brother. What a dark place you can find yourself in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having people like you, Jose, Sam, Monica, these various individuals who are willing to not only like give me a platform to have these conversations, but to honestly pursue them. You know what I mean? In an objective way, with some sort of unbiased honesty, willing to admit when they're wrong. Like those values are something to admire. You know what I mean? And anyone practicing them fundamentally at a core level, good for you, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. And so here and now, sorry, brother. I know I just basically fucking rambled and ran my mouth a shitload and talked about so much random shit. But hey,
that's what you're here to do, man. That's why I had you on. And guys, don't forget, Already Dead is every Tuesday night, 8:30 Central. 9:30 Jose and Austin's Rumble, YouTube, and X.
Yeah, you're right.
But and sometimes I stream it on mine as well. Now I'm like the third co-host, kind of / producer, right? I try my best.
Member of the show.
Thanks, Austin.
100%.
But you can go to toplobster.com, get some merch. Got some Gladio. Now I can get a Gladio shirt because I know what it is. Got Jose's merch back up. Yeah, guys. Go over there and get some of that shit. Anyway, yeah, tomorrow, if I can wake up at a good time tomorrow morning before my daughter gets dropped back off, I will do chapter 2 of Initiates of the Flame on Patreon. So if you're not on Patreon yet, you should be. We do the esoteric book reviews over there. They don't get released to the public, not yet. Elohim Etymologies, me and Adrian West show, those go live there, and they basically stay there for a week or so, and then I drop them to the public. You get the link to the Discord. I'm about to print some stickers. You'll get free stickers. And the highest tier gets a free shirt as soon as I get that printed. That should be happening hopefully by the beginning of the summer. We'll see. But yeah, guys, patreon.com/greypilledpodcast. I'm on X at greypilledpod. Instagram, which I rarely use, but I still post on there sometimes. greypilled_podcast. Rumble. Go follow Austin's Rumble, guys. Please. Need to get his follower count up on there. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff, everybody. And also tomorrow, I guess it wouldn't be night, but Trebles Garcia from the Paranoia Radio podcast is coming on to kick it for a little bit. So y'all come hang out. It's 5 o'clock Central, and then Sunday Chaos at 9 Central. Sunday night, every other Sunday, guys. Got a lot of good shows coming up. I had to reschedule my appearance on My Family Thinks I'm Crazy, but I will be going on there as soon as possible. Going on Forbidden Knowledge News to hang out with Chris here in the next few weeks, I believe.
Good shit. I had to reschedule with him because I had so much shit going on this week.
He's so fucking cool, man. Like,
yeah, I'm excited to talk to him.
Some of the best conversations, dude.
I tried to apologize to him because I was like, man, I'm so sorry. I thought I could manage this.
He's cool, dude. Nah, he doesn't care about that if you have to reschedule. Chris is cool.
We got it rescheduled now, so I think that it's gonna be early next month. I can't remember the date now, but I'll plug it soon.
Hell yeah! Well, we'll have to let people know when that happens, dude. And yeah, Austin and Jose are going on.
Let's do this again soon, brother. Because
let's do it.
Honestly, I didn't cover shit. I don't know how the hell we talked for 3.5 hours. I didn't cover fucking shit that I had planned on covering. So it's just so hilarious
when you're having fun, dude.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, brother. At this point, I was worried for the longest time that I wouldn't be able to somehow, put together content that would inevitably become this long. But yeah, we're doing 3.5 hours and we didn't even basically discuss anything. As far as like.
Well, I mean, dude, like I said, we're kind of what along the lines of what you said. We're trying to find more connections and make a little more sense of the stuff that we research and look into. You look into the parapolitical, more like tangible conspiracies that you can, like actually look into. And I look into, I study occult symbolism, the esoteric, ancient history.
I'm listening to you.
What's up? Who's
this Alec Heidel? Yeah, I love this person. They've been responding all night.
Yeah, no, but, I've never had anyone on X in the chat. So Alex, thanks for coming and hanging out, dude.
100%. So Corey Hughes is the producer for Forbidden Knowledge News. I didn't realize this.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot. Chris did tell me that. Okay.
So, yeah, dude, definitely come back next time. But
oh yeah,
I'm interested because as far as like, first of all, Forbidden Knowledge News, I'm excited to go on. But I do find it interesting. Corey Hughes apparently has a lot of knowledge himself personally. So who knows? I've heard a lot about him. I would like to have potentially have a conversation at some point.
He may be there too.
Hey, I'm down.
I think when they do their shows and have people on, I think he's there as well. But like Chris came on my show.
JFK assassination was kind of like his wheelhouse. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's what I saw him saying earlier. Yeah, I think I saw him saying that earlier, that it was the JFK assassination that he specifically kind of like looked into the most. I don't know. Let me know, Alec. But either way, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And Yeah. Anyway, Jules, do your thing, brother. Sorry.
Well,
didn't mean to-
I was going to say next Saturday we may be having Foundering on Sound Science, me and the Paranoid American.
I'm still pissed. I
Shout
missed
out
that.
Thomas.
Well,
I know, dude. We'll get him
crew.
back on for something else, man. That was a fun episode. You did.
We
miss out.
gotta get more guests in general, but
I'll work on it if y'all want me to. Y'all just have
Dude,
to tell
do
me
it.
to use
Do it,
y'all's
brother.
name or whatever.
I haven't been doing it yet. No, perfectly
Like,
fine with me.
we can hit Dana up and see if she,
Mm-hmm.
kind of check in on her and see if she can come on, or if not, that's fine.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to bother if
Absolutely.
like
No, I get that, but we do honestly. We do need to start having people on because there's so many different conversations we should be having. I think that will be constructive, and people that I think would be willing as well. That again, I would love to have like Derek Bros and Isaac Weishaupt and a John Wedger and those individuals that fuck man.
We'll get Isaac on so I can get him on because I have to have a very long conversation with him about Twin Peaks.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be.
I mean, oh my god! If you brought up Twin Peaks to him, he would probably fucking rupture in his pants.
I've watched Twin Peaks. I've watched at least the first and second season. I've only watched The Return once because it's a little corny at times. It's a little like I don't know,
right?
But like the aesthetic of the original Twin Peaks is just beautiful, man. R.I.P. David Lynch. Right. I don't want to even hear if he was involved in anything.
Just don't tell me.
I know he was into Kabbalah and mysticism along those lines.
I've heard.
I don't want to hear anything else.
I'm telling you, man. No one's untouched, brother. But hey, if we don't stop now, we're gonna go for fucking 6 hours.
I know. I know you're getting tired.
Oh, you're good, man. Honestly,
and I gotta go to bed.
It's so easy to hang out with you, brother. We could do this any fucking time. So just tell me when. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. No,
give me enough time. I have a clear schedule, which all I really need. 24 hours at most, but not necessarily every day. Right? Like I just depends. But yeah, anyway.
You're right, bro. They did ruin it with that new season. They should have just left
Twin Peaks.
Yeah. It was good.
So as much as I love
but
like theater and film, I'm sure I would enjoy the shit out of this. I just haven't taken the dive. So as far as Twin Peaks is concerned. And what is the most appealing aspect in regard to like the people that we swim in the circles of, like at Isaac Weishaupt? Like why is this so appealing? Is it just like because it kind of introduces a potential reality of the paradigm?
It's the whole experience, man. Like the music for the show, if it didn't have the music, it wouldn't be what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like that. Each
character
has like their own secrets and stuff. It's and then there's these esoteric undertones throughout the entire thing that you're like, wait a minute, like you see the stack of donuts and you're like, is that the fucking Kabbalistic tree of life? Like, like what's going on?
Amazing.
The entity Bob that was brought into the world through an atomic bomb explosion out in the desert in Vegas. Yeah, dude. Or somewhere over there. And he's the one who basically and like the Black Lodge and the White Lodge. Dude,
oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Ties into Crowley and stuff. And
what is that?
The portals the basic portals and like dude, we could start a whole new episode right now and I could try to explain to you. It's a ritual, Jules. Yes, I know.
The benevolent and the malevolent.
I'd
the
like
malevolent.
to expand on that because I understand.
Hey, is he saying Twin Peaks is a ritual?
Yeah.
Oh,
in a way, yeah. And
I'm so very interested to look into this. I know Johnny Woodard, right, from Broken Sam,
Broken Sam,
and
yeah,
yeah, and Jules producer, or I mean Jules producer, fucking Sam's producer. But you know
really
what I'm
getting
saying.
tired now, bro.
I am tired, but
I need to watch
you know what I'm saying. Like it's he's obsessed with it as well, and so I very much have been. It seems to be appealing. I would imagine I would appreciate the hell out of it, especially as much as I appreciate layered cinema. You
Mhm.
know,
You have to get
and
Paramount Plus to stream. I'm
okay,
actually going to get that. I'm going to start doing it on Patreon probably here in the next month or so. Start doing like a
okay.
watch party every week or 2 weeks of
Oh
Twin Peaks.
shit!
Just cover like the first season, and then
Hey, I might start watching it. And if I do, then invite me on for that. That would be fun.
dude, fuck yeah,
Right.
man.
Right.
Love that,
Yeah,
brother.
that would be a good time. But yeah, malevolent benevolent
Benevolent,
magic. Yeah. I think that's employed in various
dude.
ways.
I'm
You know.
reading this right now,
Yeah.
and it talks about the left hand and the right hand path,
That's exactly it,
black
man.
and white magic and stuff, and people
Oh my god.
people perform magic every day and they don't even know.
That's what I'm
Regular,
saying. That's what
normal people.
yeah, that's what the
everyone-
ultimate evil
It
was.
talks about everyone basically being a magician. Like there's yellow magic. It's
Holy shit.
yeah, dude. Yeah, that's can't say too much. That's Patreon.
You
material.
motherfucker. I want to know about this.
Hey man, you know, it's I've researching the occult, man. I mean, you know, it's a slippery slope, but if you're, you know, if you're aligned spiritually in the right way, I think, you know, it's worth learning about, especially to recognize all these signs and symbols being used in the world and how people use them.
You have
But
to be aligned spiritually in the proper way.
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
You can
Or
lose
you
yourself
shouldn't
in it
even
for sure. You
begin.
can go crazy.
Yeah.
But I've made myself uncomfortable many times. You know, I had to basically throw my Necronomicon away because
Hey,
the
dude.
energy it was giving off. Yeah, man, weird shit like that.
Just talking to William about The Catcher in the Rye, I was like, nope. I'm good. I don't need to read
dude,
the rest of this. You know what I mean?
Books are just another way, basically, of you know,
Subconscious,
selling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mind control manuals, man. They're more prevalent than we realize. But we better get the fuck out
the
of here, brother.
slipperiest of slopes. Yeah, Corbo.
The
Corbo,
slipperiest
need to have you on, man. You need to join my, at least, I don't know, man, join my $2 tier on Patreon or something. It's only $2. It's like you're buying me 6 cigarettes. Not
At
trying
least
to
hit
but
me
I would
up.
love for you to be in there when I do these so you can give me your input on them.
Yeah. At least hit me up and actually you know,
What's up, Rebel?
reach out in a personal way of some kind and we can have a real conversation because I would absolutely love to pick your brain. And if you're ever willing to go, you know, on the record, hey man, you already know you have an invite, open invitation
Absolutely.
on probably 3 different platforms at this point. Right.
Yeah, dude. Also, you're gonna need an underclass hat from you, Austin.
Hey
So,
man, I'll get it to you,
printed
brother.
the baseball cap yet because it's not cold anymore, so I don't need a beanie. But
Right.
yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, sorry, Rebel. We're finishing up almost on 4 hours. But thank you for dropping by.
Definitely. Rebel Patriot. My people.
So yeah, guys, tomorrow morning, Patreon, Esoteric Book Review, Initiates of the Flame, Chapter 2. And then tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, and then Sunday Chaos Sunday. So hopefully I'll see all you guys there. Yeah. Austin, thanks for coming and hanging out, brother.
Love you, brother. You know, man.
I love you too. man.
Anytime we're gonna make this happen. And hey, dude, we're growing. To this year, you're the schizo. We're gonna have a damn good time. I know that much. You know what I mean? Hey, we're declaring it.
Schizo, year of the psyops, it's a year of a lot of things.
PSYOP season.
It's
Yeah,
still
exactly.
PSYOP season, people.
Hey, it's tailor made for us at this point.
Absolutely.
You know. So
So yeah, guys, y'all keep a lookout and stay gray pilled. We'll see y'all later.
Kill me, boy.
You handsome
Shouts out.
faggot.
Top Lobster Productions.